If you run a gym and feel stuck, this is for you. Because right now, you're likely in one of two stages, and the stage you're in determines exactly what's holding you back. Stage one, you're ready to go all in on SGPT, but your business isn't. Right now, your gym probably looks a little bit like this. One-to-one PT, a few classes, maybe some online, and a bit of SGPT sprinkled in. And you're doing absolutely everything. You know small group PT is the future. You know it's the model that creates freedom, profit, and time back, but you don't know how to simplify. You don't know how to phase out the noise of the things that you currently offer clients. But you're not fully confident committing to SGPT as the thing. You've probably hired your first coach, but you're not sure what to delegate, how to lead them, or how to build month-to-month consistency. You want to grow, you just don't yet have the structure. Or maybe you're in stage two. You're already all in, but you've hit that ceiling. You've gone full SGPT, you're serving between 150 to 200 clients. You have a team, you've grown pretty fast, and now sessions feel full, your systems feel stretched, capacity feels maxed out, and growth has slowed down. And every next level looks like more stress. You're ultimately questioning, do I open another location? Do I push harder? Or do I fix the bottlenecks in this building first? You want to break past the 30 to 50K per month ceiling without the chaos or burnout and without sacrificing the quality of your model. You've built something solid, now you're wondering how to take it to the next level. If you're at stage one, I'm going to help you simplify your model, ditch the distractions, build a clear SGPT offer, and step into the 10.0 version of yourself. You'll go from juggling everything to building something that's predictable. And if you're at stage two, I'm going to show you how to break the 30 to 50K per month ceiling, maximize the capacity you already have, you just don't know you have it yet, lead your team confidently, and scale without stress. Inside today's training, we're going deep into the 6 foundational pieces that turn a gym from stuck to structured to unstoppable. Each section stacks on the one before, just like a real business. Section 1, model. We'll build a simple, scalable, profitable SGPT model that unlocks capacity and becomes the backbone of your business. Think throughput plus simplicity plus profit in one place. Section 2 is market, attracting the right clients. We're going to define the who. Who is your business designed for? And equally, who is it not for? Section 3, method, your client delivery system. We're going to visually map the process by which customers receive value. Onboarding, check-ins, milestones, retention triggers. You'll leave with a clear method that produces predictable results without needing a hero coach. Section 4 is all about money. Here we're going to build your front-end offer, your ascension pathway, so you know how to take somebody from a trial into a long-term program, whilst also building that recurring revenue foundation. We're going to discuss your pricing strategy and how to manage your money so the business pays you well. This is how you grow without stretching your resources thin. Section 5, the machine. We'll turn your gym into a predictable, repeatable growth engine. The SGPT Hourglass, where we dive into acquisition, retention, and expansion. This is the part that turns your business into a machine. And finally, section 6, management. Build and lead a high-performing team. We'll break down how to hire, onboard, develop, lead, and empower your team so they perform at a level without having to be micromanaged. This is how you build a gym that runs consistently, even when you're not on the gym floor. This is how you build a business that serves your life, not the other way around. If you're ready to grow, lead, and step into the next version of your business, let's get started. Welcome to the SGPT Growth Engine. This is where it all begins. Before we go further, me and my team have spent a lot of time building this course. So you'll find worksheets and playbooks in the description below. Please use them. They'll help you apply everything step by step today. So listen, whenever I speak to gym owners, whether they're doing 10, 20, 30, or even 40K a month, the conversation always seems to start the same. Luke, I just need more sales. Luke, I just need more leads. Luke, I'm thinking about opening a second location. And every time I hear that, I smile. Not because they're wrong or you're wrong, but because you're looking in the wrong direction. Those aren't your real problems. Those are pretty much the symptoms. It's like a client saying, I need fat burners. No, you need sleep, protein, and a plan. And for gym owners, before we even touch marketing, funnels, before we touch our sales process, I ask one question that 99% of gym owners have never answered honestly. How many humans can your gym actually process per peak hour without breaking? Not how many you wish you could fit, not how many you hope you can squeeze in, I mean realistically. Because this one number, your throughput capacity, dictates everything. Your revenue ceiling, your ability to grow, your operational stress, your timetable, your coaching efficiency, your profit margins, and whether you should even open a second location. And here's the truth. If you have above 150 clients, you probably don't have a marketing problem. You probably don't have a sales problem either. You have a capacity throughput problem. Until you fix capacity, everything else is capped. Now, I want to share with you a story because 2 months after opening T2 Fit, everything looked perfect from the outside. We had 6 racks, every dumbbell you could imagine, a beautiful sled lane, conditioning kit for days, enough barbells to run 2 busy sessions an hour. But inside, it was chaos. We hit our ceiling in 8 weeks. 6 p.m. felt like a boot camp collided with a roundabout. People bumping into each other, sessions running over, coaches stressed, members rushing to their next meeting because we didn't finish on time. And one Thursday, I stepped back and I looked across the room and realized, you know what? It's not the equipment, it's not the space, it's not the coaching. I built the model completely wrong. I didn't have a capacity problem, I had a capacity architecture problem. And that's where most gym owners are today. Enough space, enough kit, enough demand, enough coaches, but not enough throughput. Today, we're gonna change all of that. The SGPT Throughput Maximizer. Your entire SGPT business comes down to one formula. Capacity equals space times flow times programming. If any one of these is weak, your entire business is capped. So let's break it down. Number 1 is space, your usable square footage. Your building size is irrelevant. Your usable space is what matters. You see, 2,500 square foot quickly becomes 1,800 after storage, 1,600 after walkways, 1,400 after dead corners, 1,200 after ego equipment, and 1,100 after the reception area is put in. This is why so many gyms feel full, but are actually just badly designed. You see, gym owners that I work with, the first thing I do when they ask about opening a second location and whether that's the right move is we look at the current space utilization. How much space do we have for pods, for fuel bar, for changing rooms, how much dead space, chaos space. And when we look at those last two, what we discover is that it's not the second location that is needed. It's the restructuring of the current location in order to get a gym from 1 pod to 2 pod, or 2 pod to 3 pod, or 3 pods to 4 pod. To increase throughput, it's all about increasing the amount of people that you can serve per peak hour. And you've probably felt that at certain times where you've grown, you've dialed in on marketing or sales, but you can't handle the capacity. As I mentioned at the beginning, I've made the exact same mistakes where I thought we needed certain things, or we just made the layout so complex it didn't need to be that way. It needed to be simple, it needed to flow well, and ultimately it needed to be something that we could scale. And that's when I moved on to stage 2, which is flow. How humans move through space. You see, space is one thing. Flow is where you make money. If your sled lane cuts the room in half, you're limiting how many people you can serve. Some gyms I've worked with swear they're full, and then when we rotate things by 90 degrees, there's an instant change. 2 pods to 3 pods, 0 extra space or rent. Remember this, flow multiplies space. I referred to 2021 at the beginning of this section, and I explained that 8 weeks into us opening T2 Fit, we hit capacity. And when I stood back and I looked, I realized, why have we got 4 racks on one side and 2 on the other? I didn't understand the model. I hadn't even thought about the flow of the gym, how people would enter, perform movements, be coached, and even how we would be able to handle capacity if we got too busy that we needed to add on more. So we had to take 4 racks on one side, pinch one of those racks, bring it over to the other side to make up 2 pods, because we couldn't handle any more per peak hour. We could only serve 6 people in one session. So to do 2, we had to reorganize the gym, we had to use the space more efficiently, and that's when we were able to go to 2, and then a year later, we reinvested back into the gym to make it 3. So when it comes down to throughput, more sessions per peak hour is imperative. And to do that, you need to think about the usable space you have and the flow, And that brings us on to the last section, which is programming. Throughput engineering. You see, programming either multiplies capacity or destroys it. If your sessions require 5 different stations, a ton of mixed equipment, random drills, and what I call creative chaos, your model will break. At T2 Fit, we run Monday, Tuesday, the same workout, Wednesday, Thursday, the same, Friday, Saturday, the same. Members are distributed evenly, coaching becomes predictable, and pods operate in sync. One gym that we worked with this on with a 3AB session, which means that 2 sessions are the exact same Monday, Tuesday, 2 sessions are the exact same Wednesday, Thursday. The 3rd session, Friday, Saturday, is the same. That means we've just doubled capacity. Complaints dropped, throughput increased, and their revenue jumped from 27K to 39K in 16 weeks. Programming isn't coaching. Programming is capacity engineering. Okay, so let's calculate your actual throughput. What I want you to do is take your AM groups, the 6 AM to 11 AM. How many do you have? Then I want you to do the same for your PM groups, from 4 PM to 9 PM. Then I want you to calculate people per group. So if you offer 6 to 1, 6 people per group. Then we can move on to the next stage. This is the formula. We're gonna add our AM and PM times by the amount of clients per group. That gives you your daily throughput. So I want you to make a note of that number. How many clients per day can you serve? Now, here are some of the target zones. If you are under 28, that is this stuck zone. We call this red zone. That is where you're not optimizing the amount of throughput on a day-to-day basis. If you're between 28 and 40, you've kind of plateaued, you're at the amber phase. 40 to 60, it's a bit more scalable. We call this the green zone. If you are at 60 plus, that is you operating an elite small group PT setup. So listen, if you're red or amber, your problem is capacity, not marketing. You see, owners think more leads, better ads, more sales. Not yet. That's not the problem we're trying to fix. If your facility can't handle more humans per hour, more leads only makes things worse. It's like pouring petrol into a car with a blocked engine. You don't need more fuel. You need to fix the engine. And the fastest place to start is here. There are only 3 ways to grow. Everything else is noise. Once you understand capacity, growth stops being emotional. It becomes mathematical. Business is a maths game. Now, there are only 3 levers. You can add 1 pod. That's the fastest way to jump in revenue and throughput. So if you add a pod, which is 6 to 8 clients per hour, it's about 5 to 12K per month in capacity. You could also, number 2, increase pod load. How many people you can handle. Maybe you take your group sizes from 4 to 6 or 6 to 8, which will increase revenue, retention, throughput, coaching efficiency, scheduling, and peak congestion. Think about 3 to 8K per month uplift in revenue. Now, once you've mastered these first 2 points and you've maxed out capacity, then you can move on to number 3, which is expansion. Then and only then. It's not an emotional decision or a guess because it feels like the right thing to do. You qualify for expansion only if, number 1, pods are consistently full. Number 2, your pod count is maxed out. So those first 2 points we covered today. Number 3, peak blocks are full. Number 4, 75 to 85% utilization of your sessions. And number 5, no throughput left to unlock. When you look at your timetable and you go, there is nothing more we can squeeze out of this location. If anyone is missing, you do not open location number 2, because skipping this ultimately leads to 2 half-full gyms, double the overhead, double staffing issues, double churn, same revenue ceiling. We're not doing that. So what does world-class look like when it comes down to revenue per pod? We're gonna break this down with some of the best gyms that I've seen performing in a 2-pod format, 3-pod format, and a 4-pod format. Number 1, you can gauge where you currently are and figure out how much more expansion you have. But also we're gonna cover this in later sections, just in terms of how we can maximize what we currently have from a pricing standpoint and how we look to build our front-end offer to maximize LTV. Now, if you're at 2 pods, you should be anywhere between 25 to 35K per month. 3 pods, 45 to 60K per month. 4 pods, 60K to 80K per month. Now, the reason I share this with you is because it gives you a North Star of either you having to think strategically about how you're going to implement more pods, Or how are you going to get into those brackets? Because right now, if you're operating with 2 pods and you're at 15K per month, there's probably a pricing issue there. So that's the reason I've just shared those numbers with you, because they are your North Star in terms of what we need to get to in order to build a profitable gym. Now, all these world-class gyms with the numbers that I've just shared with you probably have a smaller building than yours, less equipment and fewer coaches. The only difference is they built capacity intentionally. Your job is to engineer space, flow, the program, and create a throughput machine. Because once you understand capacity, you control growth. And once you control growth, then you earn the right to build your offer, your marketing engine, your sales system, your team, your profit model. So before we move on, I want to ask you 3 powerful questions. Number 1, what is the real constraint limiting my growth? Is it leads, sales, or is it throughput? You see, most gym owners guess wrong. If you're over 150 clients, it's almost always throughput. So write your answer down. Number 2, what is the one capacity improvement I can make this month? Is it adding a pod, increasing pod load, redesigning the floor, fixing program flow? Pick one. That's your 30-day priority. And finally, number 3, once capacity is solved, what's the next milestone and why? Do you want a cleaner model, 200 plus high retention clients, 50 to 60K months, a second location, more time back, a self-sufficient team? Get clear on your next level and get clear on why it matters. Because when you know your constraint, when you know your highest leverage move, and when you know your next milestone, you stop guessing and you start growing with intention. That's the key word, intention. So there you have it. That is the end of section 1. I hope you found this valuable. I know you're probably thinking at this point, like, I don't know necessarily whether or not I'm at a point where I can maximize any more square foot, any more usable space for another pod, more people in groups. I want you to just really think for a second about zooming out and getting out of your own way. Because I promise you, you thinking about what you're doing inside of your location right now, rather than thinking about shiny objects and thinking about the next location because other gym owners have done the same, I promise you, you're gonna end up with 2 decent gyms that are making hardly any profit. More stress, more bandwidth being soaked up on a daily basis, more people requiring more of you. I really recommend you getting to that point of where you feel like, you know what, we've capped out here. We've got our gym to the absolute maximum capacity before thinking about site 2. Get that to a point of where it's bursting at the seams. You've got a proof of concept, the team are churning away, and you're at a point where you're like, you know what, the next step is definitely site 2. Not because you want to do it, but because the maths are there. I need a bigger location. So whether that's you opening site 2 or figuring out, you know what, this 1,500 square foot gym I've got right now, we need more room. Let's take this location, half a mile up the road, into a 3,000 square foot gym so we can maximize the capacity we've spoken about today. So it's either site 2 or you take your current site and you look to just double the square footage without adding more complexity by adding another location. Move the location rather than think about just taking that and increasing the square footage. I hope you found this valuable. Let's get into section 2. Now that you've created more capacity in your gym, more pods, more throughput, more room to grow, it's time to answer a different question. Who is this new capacity for? Because expanding your capacity before defining your market is like building more lanes on a motorway without deciding what vehicles should use them. If your business isn't built for someone, it ends up being built for everyone. And that's when chaos begins. Before you turn on your marketing, before you scale your sales, before you add a second location, you must answer the foundational question. Is my business designed for the right person? Because here's the truth I've seen working with gym owners. Your market defines your model. If your market is wrong, everything downstream becomes heavier, harder, and more chaotic. Most gym owners think they have a marketing problem, a sales problem, retention isn't great, or their pricing needs work. But 9 times out of 10, they actually have a market match problem. They're attracting the wrong people, people who need too much, pay too little, drain your energy, require babysitting, break your systems, and create chaos. The good news is, once you align your business with your dream client, everything becomes easier. Lead quality goes up, show up rates go up, retention increases, referrals increase, coaching feels lighter, and your culture becomes magnetic. I want to share with you a framework I built to clarify who your business is built for. 3 questions. Who do you want more of? Number 2, who do you want less of? 3, is your offer built for the first group or the second? Get these right and growing becomes predictable. Get them wrong and chaos is guaranteed. To diagnose where you are, we use the market match scorecard. I want you to rate yourself between 1 and 5 on 4 key areas. Number 1, I can clearly describe my who. Number 2, I know their top 3 frustrations. 3, I know their main 90-day goal. And 4, my offer is built specifically for that person. I want you to tally that up and score it out of 20. If you're between 0 and 15, then you're probably attracting the wrong people. 16 to 20, you have a strong foundation, but there's an opportunity to refine messaging and acquisition. So let's break it down. Number 1, can you clearly describe your who? You see, most gym owners say anyone who wants to get fit, or people who want to lose weight, or maybe men and women aged 18 to 65 years old. That is not a market. World-class gym owners say things like, we help busy parents aged 35 to 45 lose 10 kilos and rebuild confidence inside their first 90 days. Or we help stressed professionals aged 28 to 40 build structure, strength, and routine. Specificity filters chaos out and dream clients in. Number 2, do you know their top 3 frustrations? You need to know the exact thing they complain about, the language they use, the pain they feel daily, the identity they want to leave behind. Real frustrations sound like, I'm tired of starting over every single Monday. I look after everyone except myself. I know what to do, I just can't stay consistent. Or I don't recognize myself anymore. If you can articulate their frustrations better than they can, you win them immediately. Number 3, do you know their main 90-day goal? Not vague goals like lose weight, real goals such as lose 10 kilos in 90 days, or drop 1 to 2 dress sizes, or train 3 times per week consistently, or feel confident in photos again. Specific goals equals specific messaging. And that brings us on to number 4. Is your offer built for that person? I want you to ask yourself, if my dream client walked in today, would my offer feel like it was built for them? So if you're offering random classes, one-on-one PT still, boot camps even, small group PT and unlimited everything with no accountability, no onboarding or structure, your model is built for everyone, which means you attract chaos. You may already have chaos. Your offer must match their lifestyle, their availability, confidence, goals, identity. And I've created a framework in order for us to figure out exactly who our dream client is, so we can remove the chaos clients, keep our dream clients and find more of those guys so that we can ultimately build a business that we don't grow to hate. Now, the Dream Client Discovery Map was born from a place of me being frustrated by having 4 different types of clients in my gym. And we're going to talk through those today because I'm sure you're going to be able to resonate with every single portion here. The goal for me is to get you to a point of where you know exactly who your dream client is so that you can shift your marketing, but also make a shift inside of your gym right now. So if you're at 150 to 250 clients in your gym, there's a massive opportunity for you here to essentially rebuild your offer and structure to the top right. Now, at the bottom here, we have clients that are misaligned, or let's say people, maybe they're not even clients yet. And at the top, we have most aligned. So these are people who align with your values, your mission, and essentially are massive contributors to the community. On the far right, we have high profit. So these are people who invest in the biggest programs and maybe even paid in full. And then we have individuals here who are low profit. So I want to start right here, okay? I call these guys the chaos clients. Now, I call them chaos clients because they usually are the ones who create chaos to your coaching team, but also inside your gym. Culturally, inside the community, they're the ones who bicker, talk bad behind your back. They're the ones who, when you're trying to make a change for the better, they're the ones who are first to pipe up and they're the first to complain. They're the type who Make it feel like half your membership base aren't happy with this new change that you're making. The ones that you can never satisfy. So that's why I call them the chaos clients. Now our goal is to either remove those people from our gym and definitely repel those people from joining our gym. So now we understand the chaos clients, and I bet you immediately go to the 2 to 3 people inside your gym right now that you're like, you know what, I could do without those guys. I want to talk about what I call the good people, bad fit clients. These are usually the ones who align with your values, contribute a lot to the community, attend every single day, but are on the lowest package, the lowest program. They're usually the type who bounce around different things and create a lot of admin, but ultimately they're just amazing for the community. They lift other people up, but they don't essentially bring any profit in. Maybe they even cost you money to serve. So we're gonna keep these guys just here. On the bottom right, we've got high profit, but they're misaligned. The type of people that pay in full, aren't worried about how much the program is, but can't implement anything, and almost moan that they're not getting the results that they want because they haven't actually applied everything that you have inside of the program. The type who pay in full, but you don't see for 3 weeks. The type who are away on holiday every other month. And these guys, although they bring in a large amount of money into the business, they're the ones who don't align with your values and your culture. Now that brings me to the last portion of this quadrant, your dream client. High profit, highly aligned. These are the individuals that are raving fans, that get incredible results, that sign up for a year in full, that refer to all of their family members, friends, and colleagues to come and join your gym. These are the individuals that align with your values, are an absolute joy to coach, and really value what you provide as a gym. I'm sure you would agree, these are the people that we want to flood our gyms with. Now let me share with you a story that gives you some insight into where this framework was born. Back in 2021, when we launched our 30-day trial, it went nuts, it exploded. We had leads everywhere, sessions that were full, revenue was going in the right direction, but behind the scenes it was chaos. We had tons of different membership tiers, too many different personalities, too many misaligned clients, and too many people using us for a reset rather than a transformation. So what I discovered was that we didn't have a marketing problem, we didn't have a retention problem, we had a market match problem. And once we fixed who, everything snapped into place. And that's why I share this framework with you, because we want to ultimately increase retention, increase referrals, we want to sharpen our culture, and we want to increase our profit, right? There's an exercise that I want you to go through, which is going to get you razor focused on how we find our dream client. Step number 1, I want you to pick 5 clients from each of these quadrants. I want you to think about the chaos client. What are the 5 inside of your gym right now that are causing the most chaos, that feel like half your membership base? I want you to think about the individuals that are good people but wrong fits. I want you to think about the high profit clients but misaligned with your values. And I want to think about the dream client. What we're going to do once we understand this is get razor focused on the dream client. We want to really think about who that person is. And that brings me on perfectly to step 2. I want you to identify their dream outcome. What is it? Like, is it rebuilding confidence, losing a certain amount of weight? Once we've done that, we can then move on to number 3, which is looking at trends between their demographic. So right now we're still in the quadrant up in the top right. I want you to think about what's the average age of those 5 people, their job. Are they parents? Are they married? What does their schedule look like? I want you to really think about those aspects. And then it brings us perfectly onto step number 4, which is identifying their psychographics, frustrations, desires, identity, their beliefs. Once we know that, we can then curate our messaging through our marketing to be able to talk to more of these people. And that brings me on perfectly to number 5. We're going to build your who statement. And then the formula to this is, we help X demographic who has X frustration to achieve X goal. So an example might be, we help busy parents aged 35 to 45 who feel stuck and tired of starting over to lose 10 kilos and rebuild confidence inside their first 90 days. And this becomes the heartbeat of your marketing, the reason your ads convert, the filter for who enters your gym and who doesn't, and the blueprint for your culture. Now you've identified who your business is built for and filtered out the chaos clients who drain time, energy, and profit. We can finally build the part of your business that holds everything together, your fulfillment engine. This is the entire customer journey your client goes through. There's a few different ways we can isolate this, but it's ultimately about how you onboard them, how you deliver their first 30 days, and how you retain them. This is the engine that makes your business predictable, makes your operations smooth, and gives your team complete clarity on what their roles are. Because the truth is, a clear market is useless without a clear journey. A dream client is wasted without a dream path. And your fulfillment engine is what transforms a person with a problem into a client with a result. It's the reason some gyms scale past 60 or 80K months with fewer staff, while others collapse at 20K, because their delivery is inconsistent. In the next section, we're going to build your onboarding flow, your accountability cadence, your client milestones, and your retention triggers. This is quite literally what turns an SGPT gym into a category leader. I hope you found this section useful, because it's probably one of the most underutilized exercises gym owners are willing to go through. It's actually reflecting on where their current client base is and what section they're in. And then, even if you want to take it a step further, take in your whole active client base, let's say there's 100 people, and segmenting them into those sections to really get a pulse on what percentage of clients make up each of these quadrants. And if you're at a position where 10% of your clients are chaos clients, you need to formulate a execution plan to figure out how you're gonna transition those people off so that you can free up more bandwidth inside the business. Remember this, coaches don't wanna work inside of a business where there's chaos clients. We wanna work with people who are our dream clients, who implement everything we give them, who don't give our coaching team stress, and ultimately get incredible results so that we can continue marketing those guys to attract more of the people that we want in that top right-hand corner of the quadrant. So listen, don't look at this exercise as something that isn't worth doing. It 100% is. And when you get to a point of where you have your demographic, psychographic, and goal figured out for the type of person that your gym is built upon, then and only then can we move to the third stage, which is to figure out the customer journey. And this is about us formulating what happens at the start when somebody buys and purchases a program to end when they move into the next stage of their program. So without further ado, let's get stuck into section 3, which is us mapping out the fulfillment engine, otherwise known as the method. In the last section, we clarified who your business is for, your dream client. Now it's time to answer a deeper question. What journey do we take this person on so we can guarantee their success every single time? Because the truth is, a gym without a fulfillment engine is unpredictable. A gym with a fulfillment engine is unstoppable. This is the difference between random onboarding, random conversations, random client results, and random retention numbers that you might be experiencing month to month. It's the difference between a predictable customer journey, which we're going to cover today, consistent, repeatable results, higher retention, higher renewals, and a scalable business. Because businesses don't scale because they've got better marketing. They scale because they build better journeys. Today, we're going to build your fulfillment engine, the backbone of your method. So let's get stuck into it. I'm going to share with you today a framework that I learned from Ryan Deiss. And it's all about unpacking what's in here and putting it down on a ton of sticky notes onto a whiteboard, locking yourself in a room, and getting crystal clear on the activities that go on between the start and the end. And we're going to define that in just a little bit. But ultimately, this exercise is going to give you razor sharp clarity on what's working, what isn't, what needs fixing, and what needs optimizing. And until you unpack what's inside of your mind, you don't actually know the exact journey somebody goes on from start to finish. And Ryan Deiss talks about the value your company provides, your gym. You have 3 elements. You have a growth engine, which is how you market and sell people into your world. You have a fulfillment engine, which is what you are providing from an experience standpoint from the moment somebody invests to transitions off or transitions into the next program. And then you have the innovation section, which is how you get feedback, how you discuss as a team of how you're going to optimize and improve certain aspects so that you have that constant feedback loop of creating something, making it better, refining it, and implementing. So today I'm going to give you a real world example. And what's really important for you to understand here is that we're going to unpack one fulfillment engine today. This is going to be your front end offer. And I'm going to use a 21-day trial as an example so you can get a pulse on what this could look like for you. But ultimately, you need to carve out some time after this section to actually map this out, work with your team, and bring your heads together to figure out what needs to be where, what needs to be moved, what needs to be deleted, what needs to be added and optimized so that you can get consistent results every single time for your client. And this isn't so much about the coaching experience. This is about how you onboard and nurture people through the sequence. First things first, let's define what the start means. Now for us, when we come to this example, we're going to be going into one specific value engine, which is going to be a fulfillment engine of our 21-day trial. You should do this for every single program that you have. So whether you have a yearly program, a 90-day program, a 30-day, 6-week trial, whatever that looks like, you need to define what this specific one, how it starts. For today, the start is a closed sale. Somebody's raised a hand, they've jumped on a call, and they've signed up to our 21-day experience. What happens next? We're going to go into that in just a second. Then we need to define what the end looks like. So we can place this down here. Now the end is somebody who finishes a 21-day trial and they move into the next phase, or they transition off because they're not going to be staying on as a member. Now, when you get you and your team in a room, you want to get these 2 sticky notes up first. We need to define what that looks like. And then with that specific program, we want to list all the activities that happen inside of that. So for an example, we did this most recently a few weeks ago. We started a timer for 15 minutes and each of us wrote down exactly what should be happening inside those first 21 days. Now what's funny is when you do that activity and you set a timer for 15 minutes, when you review this as a team, you'll realize that what you have, what Bob and Mary have, probably completely different things. So it's about us then aligning what needs to be true for this to look world class. So for us, when it comes down to somebody signing up to a program, we need to initiate a welcome sequence. And that's usually done by a series of different events. Maybe it's a tag, maybe it's an index that's changed. And this here you'll see has 2 stars at the top and C playbook. I'm going to refer to this a little bit more at the end of this training because this is an important aspect around building playbooks. This obviously doesn't give you much context, but it gives us enough context because we know what's inside of here. It's the welcome messages somebody sees, the videos they get, the login details, the welcome box that they receive. All that kind of stuff is what is then initiated once a tag is applied. So inside of that playbook, there's more context. Once that happens, we need to define what happens next. And that's the question you should keep coming back to with your team with this exercise. After that, what next? What happens next? And for us, the sales team are required to send a promise. And you'll see underneath here in brackets, there's a C template or use template. This is when we actually have our technology being used and we can hyperlink this so there's something that the team can follow. So the promise is going to be a contract that we send to somebody to make sure that they're actually committed and into the program. Did they sign the promise? If they didn't, no. We're going to hit follow up here and we're going to circle back to that. If they did and that person's into the program, then we move on to the next stage. Yes, they signed the promise. We're going to create client profile using the sign up tracker. So again, this means more to us, but this is obviously me giving you an example so that you can base this off of what might need to be true for yourself. You'll see here that none of this is yet linked like a business mapping session usually would do. And that's because there's things that are going to move at periods of time. And only until the end of your session do you get to the point of where you link everything up. I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute. So the next part, when we look at the question, what next? What should happen next? For us, it's handing over to the coaching team. So when the client has signed the promise and the profile is being created, we can then hand over to the coaching team and let them know exactly who this person is, what their goals are, what their challenges are, and when they're coming in for their consultation and first session. Once that has happened, we then deliver a one-to-one consultation. And that's going to be where we onboard them officially into the club, show them around for the very first time. Very important part to the process. And once that is done, there is then another stage to the process, which is update team on movement screening and PAR-Q. So once that is complete, the consultation is finished, the 45-minute appointment, whoever delivered that needs to then update the team on the movement screening and PAR-Q. Once that is done, we've got another important part to the process, which is deliver first session, C playbook. An important aspect and something you need to define. What does a world-class first session look like to somebody new in the club? What do they need? How do they need to be greeted? How do we celebrate magic moments? These are all things that you need to define as a gym. The next part of this 21-day experience, we looked at, how many sessions do we need somebody to complete in order to really see the value in what we provide? And we decided that 3 sessions inside the first week is really important for us to actually get them to see the value past the 21 days. So what we decided was that if somebody hasn't completed this, there needs to be some sort of follow-up process. How can we reach out to them and say, hey, John, listen, I know you didn't manage to get in your 3 workouts this week. Is there anything we can do to help? It might even be us just resetting their 21-day experience. Again, this is all going to be important for you to look at and get clear on. If they did hit 3 sessions, then SMS. There's a message to reinforce a solid week, to commend them and celebrate with them that the fact they've actually committed to something and achieved it. They've set 3 workouts in the diary and they've done it. We have a 2-week call, and this is usually a review call, celebrate wins, talk about challenges, and look at mapping the next stage of the journey. This is our opportunity to renew and look at where they want to take their journey next. So this is very important, and again, there's a star there around how to actually deliver that. Now, on that call, what we figured out was that we usually get a lot of positive feedback, which is why we've got another decision diamond just above here. Now, this decision diamond gives us the opportunity to either find out whether they've had a good experience or a bad one. If it's been a bad one, which is a rare case, then we feed back to coaching team. And then as a byproduct, the general manager or the GM triages. So it goes bad feedback, we feed that back to the coaching team, and then we let the GM jump on a call and try and figure out how we can help them. Now, if they had good feedback, we're going to put here, ask for Google review. Somebody on that 2-week call says, I've absolutely loved it. I want to sign up for the year, whatever that looks like. Would you mind doing me a favor? Would you mind leaving us a Google review? It really helps inspire other people on a similar journey to you who are a bit afraid of taking action. A massive opportunity there. So for us, we felt that was a good opportunity to ask for a review. Then we have to ask the question, did they convert? Yes or no? Now, if they didn't convert and they aren't going to be continuing, then we need to initiate offboarding, and then we need to add the tag lapse nurture sequence, because every 3 months they're going to get some opportunity to come back into our world. And if they did convert, then they're labeled as active member and the welcome sequence is activated. Now, you might be looking at this right now and thinking, how does this all link up and work out? Well, now my lovely assistant over here has just chucked me a pen because we're going to link these all together. What you're probably looking at here is stuff that doesn't really make a load of sense, but when we've mapped it all out, you're going to be razor focused on it. The reason we don't want to yet link things when you're going through this exercise is because you are going to be switching and changing. I've obviously mapped the process as an example for you, but when you come to doing this exercise with your leadership team, or if you're doing this on your own, you can start to move things around. So you might say, you know what, that delivery in first session needs to be here, or we need to put in something here at week 2, or we need to put something here at stage 6. This is all about you getting crystal clear on what world-class looks like. And when you map it out as what it currently looks like, you'll find gaps. And when you do this in the growth engine and you look at opt-in pages and where people are going, you go, why is that there? How can we make that better? How can we send them to a different landing page? Or how can we bring everyone to one? When you look at it through this lens, then you have an opportunity to optimize, refine, and rebuild. So as an example, let's say you map this whole process, you can then start to join everything up. So start, which is the closed sale, they go into welcome sequence, started, activated. Then we go down to the next stage, which is we send the promise. Once they go into the promise, we've got to ask the question, was the promise signed? If no, here, we can put an N. If yes, we can create client profile. We spoke a little bit about that just a second ago. If that wasn't signed, we always want to make sure that there's no dead ends. So we can bring it back in, send T2 Fit promise and review. When it comes down to creating client profile, once we've done that, we can then hand over to the coaching team and let them know that that person signed up. We can then deliver the one-to-one consultation, and then we can come up here and we can update the team on movement screening and parkour once they finish that. Then we're going to come in to deliver first session, and then we're going to ask the question, did they complete 3 workouts? If no, we want to follow up and we can move them over to this stage. Again, no dead ends. If yes, SMS to reinforce a solid week. So if they hit their 3 sessions, they go to here. That's the power of a decision diamond. When there's a question, we need to answer the question. Once the SMS is sent and reinforced, then it's going to go into the next stage, which is deliver the 2-week call. Remember, if there's positive feedback, then we ask for a Google review. If it wasn't positive, up here, no, then the GM triages. And then we probably want to take that into converted? Yes. Converted, yes or no? So if they converted, yes. If they didn't convert down here, we've got an N for no. And then we start the offboarding sequence and then into a lapse nurture sequence. And then this person down here, if they didn't sign up, ultimately the fulfillment engine ends. If they did, and they're now an active member, they're coming down to here and they're going into the new member phase. Now, this is a high level overview of what this looks like. But ultimately it's about you getting razor sharp on what yours looks like. Whether you start on your initial front end offer and what that looks like from start to finish, that's a great place to start. But you also need to build another one, which is going to be around what happens after that point. And there's going to be many fulfillment engines that you build. There should be one growth engine, which is how you find, nurture, and convert people into your world. And that's what we're going to cover in later sections. But this exercise as a whole gives you the ability to get locked in and razor sharp on how can we make this system better? How can we remove parts that don't need to be there? How can we optimize the stages that are there and that are imperative? And then how do we build the playbooks? I said I was going to mention that at the end. These stars that we have and these big sections like the welcome sequence activated or delivering the first session or active member welcome sequence activated, we need to ensure that we actually have a playbook so the team can follow this. So these stars allow you to actually get crystal clear on what needs to be mapped out. Rather than building out 100 different playbooks for your fulfillment engine, it's about finding the 3 to 5 that are most important, that if you didn't do right, the whole thing would fall apart. This is about having a power stage that needs to be there in order for success to be true. So when it comes to you getting your team in a room and figuring out what success looks like, really map this out and ask yourself honest questions. Does this current process serve the needs of the client that we've discovered as our dream client? Remember what we worked on in the last section. We figured out who that client needs to be. And then we're going to map the journey to this. And when you map this journey and you look at it, you either say, you know what, we're way off, or we're not far away, we just need to tweak it. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this is something you should be coming back to every 90 days. Now, at various points here, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get stuck. But just sit in it. That's why you have your team there. You have your team to map this and make sure that you can move things around, add things, delete things, optimize parts. And then once you've done this and you're all happy with what this looks like, then and only then can you look at bringing some technology in where you map this from the whiteboard onto something like Miro. And Miro is the software that we use in order for us to get crystal clear on what the journey looks like. When we come back and circle to this every 90 days, we can optimize the journey and make it better as things grow and evolve. So listen, the next thing for you to do is go and get yourself booked in with your leadership team or with yourself and block out 3 hours and focus on one engine, primarily a fulfillment engine. Maybe it's the front end offer that you start with. And you map from start to finish all the activities that happen in that period of time to call it a world-class journey. You can quite simply go into where the dream clients are and think about what their journey looked like. What did they need? What were parts that they missed or that they had that are invaluable for us to have as part of this front-end offer? So there are 2 big questions for you and your team to answer. Number 1, where is value created in your gym today? Growth, fulfillment, innovation, and what do we want to optimize for over the next 12 months? Number 2 is who is our most valuable customer and how do we ensure we deliver a 5-star service every single time? Now that your fulfillment engine is defined, we can finally build the system that fills it. Most gym owners make the mistake of selling before they know what they even deliver. You now have a real method. In section 4, we're going to build your sales engine. We're going to fill your fulfillment engine with the right clients at the right volume at the right price. So let's dive into section 4, the revenue engine. Welcome to the money section of the SGPT Growth Engine, the part of your business that fuels everything else. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most gym owners are broke, not because they're bad coaches, not because they can't get results for their clients, but because they have never built a revenue engine. Your gym needs predictable revenue, scalable revenue, revenue that buys you options, hiring, ads, expansion, even your time back. Today, I'm giving you the 3 frameworks that transform your gym from, I hope this month is going to be good, into we know this month is good. You're about to learn the front end builder, the offer ladder that prints cash on demand. The ultimate conversion cycle, the pyramid that turns cold traffic into committed clients. And the winning strategy session formula, the 9-step conversation that consistently sells high-ticket programs. By the end of this session, you won't just know how to build the SGPT revenue engine, you'll understand why gyms stuck at 10 to 30K per month break through 50 to 70, even 100K months using this exact structure. So, without further ado, let's get stuck in. When it comes down to conversion cycles, there's a lot of information out there that will tell you to do 10 different things. Today, I want you to focus on 4. And it starts at the bottom here, at the foundational level. Capturing somebody's information that raises a hand and is looking for help. Maybe this is an ad, maybe this is something on Google. Chances are there's going to be an opt-in page. And we're going to come back to this in a minute to look at ways that we can look to optimize this. But without somebody's email address, phone number, and name, we can't do anything with that. And that brings us on to the next stage, which layers on above capture. It's about nurturing. Now, most gym owners don't have any kind of nurture sequence. No emails, no SMS messages, not even a trigger to let your sales team know that this person has come into your world. So this is about having some sort of email structure, SMS, or even like us, we have a whole Instagram format that we follow when somebody follows us directly from an ad. The next stage is convert. So once somebody's raised a hand, is being nurtured and books a call, or maybe even just enters into our world as a lead, we then need to qualify them with what we call our triage call, and then we take them straight into what we call our strategy session. Now, the good news is, I'm gonna run you through what a triage call looks like, but more importantly, what a strategy session looks like. I'm gonna show you inside of this money section exactly our framework to take somebody from, I need some help, to how do I sign up? And it's probably one of the most powerful frameworks you're gonna go through. And finally, the last portion is ascending. How do we take them from, let's say, a 21-day trial or experience up to a 12-month paid in full, PIF? It's all about how do we take somebody who's raised a hand from some sort of marketing campaign that you've had out there about a trial or a challenge and bring them into something that is really going to serve them at a high level than just a 21-day or 30-day experience. I'm going to run you through exactly how to optimize each of these levels, so let's get into it. When it comes to opt-in pages, we need to make sure that everything's dialed in, because if we don't capture somebody's information, we can't do anything with it. So I've got some questions that I want you to reflect on over the next few minutes. The first one is, how many leads hit your opt-in page each week, and what percentage of them actually submit their details? The second question is your opt-in page the same for all traffic sources, and does it clearly show the offer, proof, and an easy call to action? Are leads instantly notified to your team the second they submit? And then I want you to think about one action step. What is one change you will make to your opt-in page this week to increase conversions? Is it adding social proof, simplifying the headline, improving the CTA, adding a booking, a call link? What does that look like? The second part is looking at how you nurture somebody after they've submitted a form on your opt-in page. Do they get an immediate email, an immediate SMS or DM? Who manages that whole system? Because at the end of the day, the quicker you can reach out to somebody, you're going to increase the chances of that person becoming a client. I mean, take yourself for an example. When you've ever looked for a holiday or looked for some piece of information, usually the first person who reaches out to you wins. So think about that the same for your process. If you're taking 2 or 3 days to respond to a lead that's recently come in looking for help, what does that communicate to the prospect? So ensuring that you have some sort of 7-day follow-up sequence on an email, sharing proof, and then CTA, or even an SMS that immediately goes out to them that lets them know that maybe you're a little bit busy right now in sessions, but click this link to book a call if that's the thing they should have done on the opt-in page. Think about your whole process and ask yourself this question. What is one action step that I can take today inside of my nurture sequence in order to help people know more about me, trust more about what we do, and ensure that the next steps that I need them to go into, they can take with a click of a button? Now, in an ideal world, we've taken somebody from not knowing about us to converting into a landing page, to opting in, to nurturing through an email, and hopefully we're able to reach that person with what we call a triage call. Now, we run a 2-call close here, which is us taking a qualifying call, 5 to 10 minutes, to find out a little bit more about that individual, and then converting them into a strategy session, which we're going to cover in a little bit. You could potentially just run 1 call if you want to. Sometimes if we have somebody warm enough on the phone, that triage call immediately turns into a strategy session. It's about you being a professional and be able to move with the speed at which the prospect on the other side wants to move at. So that brings us perfectly into stage 3, which is conversion. Qualify to strategy session. We want to sell the call, not the program. So if you feel that a 2-call close is the right move for you, please, inside of that qualifying call, the triage call, you're not talking so much about the program. You're just actually triaging the same way as you would to a doctor. As a patient coming in, you want to ask, what are you struggling with right now? What's the goal? Can we even help? If you've got 10 leads a day coming into your system, chances are there's going to be a percentage of those people who aren't qualified to move into your program. So you probably don't want to sell the strategy session. That's a powerful flip. And so once we've brought them into a strategy session or we've onboarded them as a client of ours, then it's about ascending them. And you can take them from initially raising a hand at this foundational level, capturing their information for maybe a 21-day experience that you've promoted, and bringing them into a strategy session where you make them realize, you know what? The value I've received on the other end of this call over the last 30 minutes, the 21 days isn't going to cut it. I need to go for a 90 days or a 365. I'm going to cover exactly how to structure the offer in the next part. So hold fire on that. But ultimately, we want to take somebody, if they do come in for a 21-day experience, to a paid in full 12 months or 90 days, or we get them to initially raise a hand for the 21 days, and then on the call, the actual thing they go for is the 12 months or the 90 days. So there's 2 different ways to look at that section, but we're looking to ascend them into the program that they actually need. Me and you both know, as gym owners, the chances that most people are actually going to suit a 21-day trial is unlikely. The thing they actually need is the 12-month program. So what's important is, as the sales professional on the other end of the call, that we're framing that this is a long-term commitment, not something that you're going to dip your toe in. But what the 21-day trial or the challenge or the kickstart does, it's your decoy offer. It's your opportunity to promote something that seems short enough for somebody to say, you know what, I've got 30 days. I've got 6 weeks. I can give you that. And then when they come on the call and they see the value that you provide inside of the program and see you as the expert that can take them from having this problem, this challenge, into, wow, I can actually solve this thing for the first time in my life. I hope you found those sections useful, because at each level, you can look to optimize some level of the conversion cycle, which is your goal as the CEO of your gym. What is broken? What needs fixing? What needs optimizing? What needs deleting? And how can we make sure that this churns away the best it possibly can so we can find more amazing people to serve with our product and service? This brings me in perfectly to the next section, which is building the front end offer. And that's why I haven't gone too deep on that ascension part, because we're going to cover that right now. And I'm going to explain exactly how you can build a front end offer that gets somebody to raise a hand for an initial trial and into a long-term commitment. Let's get into it. So let's get stuck into the front end offer builder. You see, most gym owners have one front end offer, a trial, a kickstart, a 6-week challenge, and that's like trying to build a skyscraper on sand. You need a ladder, not a puddle. A ladder moves people from curious to committed to client for life. This is the front end offer builder. The moment you understand this, slow months disappear, drop-offs disappear, and cash flow stress disappears, because you've created a predictable ascension pathway. A moment ago, I shared with you the conversion cycle, how we get somebody from opt-in page to ascending into a long-term program. And I truly believe that every gym owner needs 3 core front-end programs to offer people on a call or in person. The first program I believe every gym owner needs is a gateway program. I call this the decoy offer. I learned this from Alex Hormozy, and he spoke about having something that gives people an easy opportunity to raise a hand. This is usually priced between $199 and $299. It's a trial, it's a challenge, maybe it's a kickstart, something short term, like a 21-day, 6 weeks, something that just gives people the confidence of like, you know what, if I don't like this thing, I don't need to commit to it longer term. It's also great from a marketing perspective, because you can communicate to the world in a way where you say, hey, if you've got 21 days, that's all I need, 3 weeks, come and see if it's something for you long term. So there feels like there's less risk. 90 days, 12 months can sometimes feel like, ugh, I don't know, I've got Christmas coming up, I've got birthdays, I've got holidays, whatever kind of season that we're going through. Sometimes there can be more objections, more in the person's mind before they've even jumped into the opt-in page and raised a hand for, hey, how can you help me? The second part is a core offer, and this is usually priced between $995 and $1,495. This is what I call your 90-day experience, and usually this is where you're getting somebody to their first result. And when you're on a call with somebody, you're actually positioning all 3 of these options. So somebody who initially raises a hand and says, hey, I really like the idea of this 21-day experience. When I show you in a minute, the last part of this section, which is the strategy session formula, I'm going to show you how to position this so that when you're on a call, you're not selling them the wrong program. I'm sure you'd agree with me. There's some people, most people shouldn't be going for a 21-day experience. It's handy for people because there's less risk and they can see if it's for them before committing to a longer term program. But me and you both know somebody entering into a 90-day program or an annual program is going to get a whole lot more from that than just dipping their toe in. I always say that the transformation happens at the transaction. If somebody purchases for 21 days, are they going to be fully dialed in rather than paying in full for a year? You imagine the difference in mindset and psychology that person's going to have to their intensity and what they're going to absorb from the program. You've probably had it with mentors and coaches you've worked with, right? And the last section here on the front end offer is an annual program. This is a 365, something that's positioned between 4K to 6K. And this is what I call locking in lifestyle. This is somebody who's fully committed and ready to rock and roll. It's like, you know what? I don't want to dabble. I don't want to dip my toe in. I'm ready to go all in on this thing. I've seen what you've been doing. I've seen the social proof. Hopefully you've been nurturing them through emails so they've seen Bob, Mary, and Phil, the results they've achieved. And they're like, you know what? I trust this place. I know this is going to be the place for me. Maybe they've walked in and they've had an amazing welcome. You've sat down with them for the last half an hour and they're like, you know what? The value I've gained from just being in your world for the short period of time that I have, I know once I'm on the inside, I'm going to get a ton more. If I commit for 21 days, it ain't going to be enough. So these are the three offers that you want to position on a call and when you're actually speaking to a prospect and hopefully getting them into your world. You've got the gateway, which is an opportunity if somebody just wants to see if it's for them. You've got the 90-day, the core offer, something that gets them to a point of, you know what, I've achieved an amazing result. Maybe they've lost 10 to 12 kilos. Or an annual, which is them locking in their lifestyle, hitting a series of milestones. Maybe there's 4 different phases across a year, every 90 days. This is important for you to map out and important for you to be strategic with the price points and how you structure that. So people feel like it's a no-brainer to go for the long-term option. I'm going to discuss that a little bit more in the winning strategy session formula. But what does it look like post 90 days or post 21 days? And I believe every gym owner needs 2 core long-term programs to build that monthly recurring base. Because right now you're probably thinking, Luke, what happens after 90 days? What happens after 21 days? Well, don't panic. There's 2 options. You have a lifestyle flex, which is an opportunity for somebody to come on and pay a higher monthly amount but can cancel at any time. Or you have a lifestyle plus, which is them committing for 12 months on a month-to-month basis. I would usually position this between $399 to $599. And the $399 being on the lower end, that might be the plus, which is them committing for a year on a month-to-month basis. Or you have somebody whose diary is a little bit all over the place. Maybe they travel quite frequently, so they're going to have to pay for a higher amount in order to cancel with 30 days notice. There's the other opportunity. Now, what that does, it anchors a price based on what the perceived value is on a month-to-month basis. So if you have a $599 program per month, this is the pricing that you can use and make these other 3 options seem like a no-brainer. Now, in terms of those flex options, this is how you build that monthly recurring revenue. This is how you build confidence and stability in your decision-making as a founder. If you don't have monthly recurring revenue, then you ultimately find it very hard on a month-to-month basis to hit consistent numbers. It's very hard to see a trajectory going that way. It's a bit like, oh, we've had a good month. No, it's a bad month. Oh, it's a good month. So trying to hire a team, spend more on advertising, or maybe buying a new bit of equipment is extremely hard if you don't have that base. Now, I don't need to talk to you so much about MRR because chances are you've got a pretty solid base. Most gym owners have a very strong monthly recurring revenue. But if you get this section right, this front end offer, I promise you, you will see an incredible shift in the amount of money that you bring on the front end, which then allows you to spend more on advertising, to acquire more clients, to ultimately get to a point of where your business is more profitable. That is the name of the game. So let's run the math so you can see what it looks like if you were to sign up 30 new people every single month. This might be quite ambitious, but I thought I'd pick a number to give you a real mindset shift here. Let's say you were charging $199. So 30 times 199 is just under 6K. If we were to shift that into this model here, where you have 3 offers on the front end, and let's say 50% signed up for the gateway, that means that you're bringing just under 3K of new revenue. Let's say 12 people signed up for the 90 days. That's just under 16K. And let's say 10% of people, that's 3 people signed up for the annual. That's 15K of new revenue if you're selling a price point at 5K. So trials at just under 3K, 90 days, just under 16, annuals 15K, that's £33,525 if you were to run the maths. Same leads, same ad spend, same effort, 5.6 times more revenue. This is why I say the front-end offer builder is the closest thing to legalized printing money in the fitness industry, in your gym. So you may be thinking, yeah, Luke, this won't work for my clients, my town, my gym. Truth is, every gym owner thinks their town is the magical postcode where nobody values their health. But the biggest constraint in your business is not your town. It's not your market. It's not what people can or can't afford. The biggest constraint is the price you think you're allowed to charge. When you build a ladder, deliver transformation, and solve real problems, people will pay. Not because they're rich, but because their goals matter. So 2 final questions for you to consider. The first one is, if I had to launch my 3 front-end offers in the next 72 hours, what exactly would each include and what price would I have them at? The second question is, what must be true about my program, my delivery, and my confidence for me to sell these offers with certainty, starting this week? This turns the front-end offer builder from theory into a plan. Now I'm going to explain exactly how you can take this and actually present it on a call or in person with a prospect in front of you. This is the winning strategy session formula. The reason I want to share with you this winning strategy session formula is because you can have the best marketing in the world. You can have the best opt-in pages, the slickest emails, and the best case studies. But if you cannot articulate the value you provide in your program, you're ultimately giving a disservice to the people that need your help. So if you're thinking, I don't enjoy sales, or I don't really like doing this whole salesy thing, it's a bit sleazy, you need to shift your mindset and your belief around the value that you provide, because these 9 steps get you razor sharp on the process you need to follow in order to get success every single time. And remember this, sequencing equals success. If you juggle around an order or you run a sales call differently every single time, guess what? You're going to get a different outcome. That's why I put these 9 steps together, because over the last 10 years I've been in the industry, I curated exactly what I felt was the best way I could get what I needed from the prospect in front of me and then articulate the value we provide as a gym and ultimately get them to the point on the bottom right where we enroll them into the program and get them winning as quick as we possibly can. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. First things first, you need to discover what your medium is going to be. Is it going to be you selling on a phone? Is it a Zoom call? Is it an in-person consultation? What do you feel most comfortable with? What comes most naturally to you? Because we have an operation here that we're looking for scale and we're looking for more conversations on a day-to-day basis, we feel that Zoom is one of the best ways for us to be able to get more people on phone calls and be able to convert more people into clients. We want to remove the friction. I feel that somebody having to book something in person, there's a little bit more friction there at times, but arguably there's more perceived value when they walk in because they're able to feel it, touch it, speak to people. So if you feel that's a better option for you, go for it. For us, we love using a Calendly link where somebody can book straight into our sales team's diaries. They can get immediate follow-up sequences with links, and it's a set and forget. We haven't got to worry so much around location and parking and other things that can come up for somebody that ultimately leads them to having to cancel. So the first thing you need to isolate is what medium are you going to be delivering this kind of strategy session for? The second thing is, what are you actually going to call your strategy session? We call ours a strategy session, but you might call a kickoff call, you might call it a kickstart, you might call it a initial consultation. What does that name look like? Define it, label it, so you know exactly what you're trying to sell. Remember what I mentioned earlier, you're not selling the program yet, you're selling this call or this conversation or this consultation. What exactly do you think that name needs to be? Go and work on that. Let's get stuck into this. Now, in phase 1, there are 3 different sections. I call this the qualifying stage, qualify. This is the qualifying stage. This is all about you figuring out whether you can even help. And what's important is that in the setup, which is phase 1, you set the tone for the call. You are the doctor. You are the person who is leading this conversation. You take control. You explain, John, thank you for taking the time out today. This call is going to take us about 30 minutes, and the whole purpose is for me to just dive a little bit deeper into where you currently are, where it is you want to go, and figure out whether we're going to be a good fit. If you're happy for me to lead the conversation today, I've got some questions that I'd love to jump into that helps me get to where we need to get to as quick as possible. But are you good for the next 30 minutes? Amazing. Let's move on to stage 2. So this is all around setting the agenda, okay? Remember the doctor frame. When you go to the doctors, they don't start prescribing medication or telling you that you need to go and see this surgeon or go and get an x-ray. They ask a series of questions. So this is all about the qualifying stage. The second stage we need to move on to is, who are you? So John, tell me a little bit about yourself. That simple question unlocks a lot of context. How old they are, what they do for a job, what their day-to-day looks like, do they have a family? You can start to build a bit of a picture as to who this person is. If you've never spoken to this person before, or you've only had a 10-minute chat beforehand, it's important that you start to develop a bit of a, okay, I can see how this person might be struggling right now. I can see how long this challenge has been going on for. And there are other questions throughout this that we can look to plug the gap. So please make sure that you do download the workbook, because there's a load of prompts inside of here that are going to allow you to double down and dial in on your strategy session. So this is all about getting context as to who this person is. We want to start to develop that. Then we go on to stage 3, which is why now? Like, what was it that you saw that made you raise your hand and book a call today? Or how did you hear about T2 Fit? Or how long have you been following us for? This is one of the most important sections because it gives you the clarity on where this person has come from. Chances are somebody is going to jump on a call and say, oh, I've been watching some of your videos, or oh, I saw this person's story on your socials, or oh, I know Mary who's been coming to the gym for the last 12 months. The answer to that question is going to unlock a lot of context for you to also feel more confident moving into the second stage of the call, which is all about building the gap. This is incredibly important. We need to figure out what they want to achieve and what's holding them back. This brings us into the first part of starting to discuss the results. We want to ask, so John, me and you are sitting here in the next 90 days. What is it you would love to achieve? If we're looking at committing to this over the next 3 months, what would you say success looks like? Is it that you've dropped a certain amount of body fat? Is it that you've got into a t-shirt size, or is it that you're going on holiday? Is there a big milestone, a big birthday that you want to get in shape for? What does that look like? Then you want to go, so tell me a bit more about the long term. Where do you want to be this time next year? Me and you are sitting down, having a drink, having a coffee. What does success look like for you? And really get them to think about what that looks like. And there's going to be, again, more follow-up questions to unlock more. The more we know about where they want to go, the more context we have in order to know that we're the right place, the right people to be able to take them to that next level. And that brings us on perfectly to number 5, reality. Like, where are you at right now? Where are you at right now compared to where you want to be? Like, how far off that goal are you? You want to lose 10 kilos. Tell me where you are right now. You want to get to 12 stone. Where are you at today? You want to lift 100 kilos. How much can you lift right now? You want to do a marathon. When was the last time you ran? We want to know what their current reality looks like. And then we can instantly transition over to number 6, which is, what are the roadblocks? What are the 3 to 5 things? And this almost becomes them coaching themselves, where they self-audit and they say, you know what, the reality is my roadblocks are that I'm poor, my motivation's low, and I've got no one holding me accountable. And we get to a point of where we're clear on, okay, this is where they want to go. We're now thinking about how that plan is going to look when they come on board, and if this model is even going to be able to help them. And for the first time on this call, which is usually around the 20-minute mark, right here, we're going to talk about our model. We're going to finally talk about what we do. Notice how over the past 20 minutes, we haven't spoken once about what we do. We're first understanding where they are. And in order for us to articulate what we do, we first need to understand, how is this thing that we do even going to help them get to where they want to get to? Again, we've been in the first 2 sections and we've been thinking, how can we even help? Is this thing even going to be something for them? So, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about the model. You're going to talk about the 3 to 5 things that make your gym unique. Is it the plan? Is it the coaching? Is it the accountability, the support? What is it? You need a 2 to 3 minute part of this section that helps you articulate exactly what you do without rambling. That's what I need you to focus on. Please don't ramble in step 7. Please don't unpack how long you've been in the industry for and what a 60-minute workout looks like. Link back to various points in this call that person has spoken about experiences and the context they've given to you, with you having actively listened and being able to tie this back to the model. The challenges that they mentioned, how can we link that back to something that you provide? Every person here is going to be unique. And you need to ensure that you have the 3 to 5 things here, 3 to 5 things. But each of those things, you need to think about how does that actually help that person? Because you could be articulating something that person doesn't even value. That person hasn't even mentioned about community. So why are we starting to double down on that section? If somebody has mentioned about the accountability and that's their biggest constraint, that's what we want to double down on. How do we hold them accountable? Well, when you book in for a session, we're going to be at the other end making sure that you show up and get your 60-minute workout done. We're going to be checking in with you every single month to make sure that your body stats are at the right place. Again, I'm linking it back to the goals. So they're starting to realize, okay, that challenge that I've really now understood, I know that this place is going to be able to help me get there. And then it brings us into the 8th section. This is where most gym owners get a little bit stuck and a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie. We showcase the offer. We talk about money for the first time. How much does it cost? We've just mapped that out. We've got our gateway, we've got our core offer, we've got our annual program. We go through each one of those. And we say something like, hey, John, listen, I know we spent quite a bit of time today going through where you are, and I really appreciate you sharing everything that you have today. I'm confident that we can help you get to the next level, and with the goals that we've discussed, I have no doubt that we're going to help you get there. I'd love to run you through some of the options that we have in terms of getting started today, from our 21-day program, which you initially raised your hand for, all the way through to our 12-month program. Because ultimately, the goals that we've discussed today dictate what I think is going to work best for you. And I'd love to guide you on the options that we have, and then for you to make a decision on what financially makes the most sense for you. Is that cool? Brilliant. At this point, we share our screen. And whether you're in person, you're on Zoom, you want to ensure that you have some sort of presentation or slide that allows somebody to actually see the numbers. Please, please, please do not talk about the 3 options and what they get and the investment that's required in order to get started. Do not verbalize that unless you have something in front of you. Remember this, people believe what they see, not what they hear. So you want to have the slide up with the 3 options, the gateway, the core offer, and the annual. And you want to communicate what each of those provide and how it's going to help them get to the next level. Once you get to the end of that, then you can ask them, what makes the most sense for you? What would you prefer to get started with today? And then you can go from there. You might have to handle some objections, or it might be some more questions, such as, so what does this one include that this doesn't? And you need to figure that out depending on what's included with each. But hopefully everything's quite simple and it all looks the same. The only change that we make in our 3 programs on the front end is that we don't include some of the accountability pieces on a 21-day trial. So we don't have our T2 Fit training app. They only get 1 body scan. They don't get some of the bells and whistles that the 90 days and the 365 gets. Because ultimately they might be here for a very quick time, and for us to spend 3 weeks getting them set up with technology they're not going to use again is pointless, quite frankly. So what we like to do is actually make that position, the 90 days and the 365, as a bit more of a no-brainer for the person who's serious about getting world-class results. So it's super important that we place the offer here. So we should have our first offer, second offer, and third offer. Which one would you like to go for today? And then we go into the last part. We enroll. Hopefully, we've, had success and we close that person on the call. So John, all I need from you today is the long card number, expiry date, and the last 3 digits on the back of your card, and we'll get that set up for you right away. Or we go into a BAMFAM. And BAMFAM is short for book a meeting from a meeting. Completely get you need to think about it. How about we do this? Why don't we get our calendar out so we're not chasing each other? And why don't we book in some time tomorrow, maybe same time as today, and let's see where you want to go from here. How does that sound? Brilliant. That person might need to clarify with the partner. They might need to think about which program is actually going to be best for them. Maybe they need some more options or some more clarity around the program to be sent to them via email. So this part here is all around the solution. So listen, this is the winning strategy session formula. Like I said at the beginning, make sure that you're clear on the medium. Make sure that you know the name of the call that you're actually going to be selling when somebody raises a hand. You're not selling the program, remember, you're selling the call. And then just go and deploy this. Just go and work on it. Because the beauty of this framework, these 9 sections, which is about 10 minutes per section, 10 minutes in the qualify, 10 minutes in the gap, 10 minutes in the solution, you can start to self-audit what needs to be refined, what needs to be improved, and what questions need to be included. Because chances are you're running a lot of the sales calls, but at some period of time, you're going to bring somebody on board. And if you've already got that, this needs to be something they immediately deploy. I hope you found this valuable. There's a lot more that I could unpack here, but inside of the workbook, you're going to see a lot more in terms of how this is going to be able to help you. Now, we've been through quite a bit here. We started with the front-end builder, which gives you predictable revenue. We went through the conversion cycle, which gives you predictable conversions, and then the winning strategy session formula that gives you predictable enrollments. Combine these, and you stop being a gym owner and you become a business owner with total control over your growth. This is how you scale from 10 to 30K to 50K to 75K predictably and sustainably. This is the money section. This is the SGPT revenue engine. Most gym owners think their success depends on luck. A good ad, a good month, a few hot leads, the right coach, or the right vibe. But real growth doesn't come from luck. It comes from a machine. A machine that consistently gets new clients, keeps clients longer, and makes each client more valuable, regardless of season, economy, algorithms, or trends. The reason most gym owners stay stuck between 10 to 20K per month is not because they are bad at coaching, it's because they don't have an operating system that drives predictable growth. So in this section, I'm going to give you the SGPT hourglass, the same framework world-class gyms use to scale to 30, 50, and even 100K plus months without burning out, relying on luck, or guessing what to do next. This is the model that tells you what to do, when to do it, and why it works. Once you understand the hourglass, you'll never look at your business the same way again. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So if you want a profitable SGPT gym, you don't need more tactics. You need a machine that pulls people in at the top and moves them through a powerful transformation and turns them into a long-term, high-value client at the bottom. Most gyms only focus on acquisition. They're trying to fix a leaky bucket by pouring more water in. The hourglass shows you the whole ecosystem: acquisition, retention, and expansion. Master these 3 levels and your gym becomes unstoppable. Ignore them and you'll stay stuck in the good month, bad month cycle forever. This is the blueprint, the operating system, the machine that builds the machine. So let's break it down. So at the top level here, we've got acquisition. This is level 1. And our goal here is to get more clients. And you need to understand that there are only 4 core ways to acquire more clients. That's it. We're going to rank these from lowest cost to highest cost, from lowest leads to highest leads, so the amount of volume. These are the 4 acquisition levels your gym will forever use. Let's start at the bottom. Referrals. This is the lowest cost to your business, the most profitable source you'll ever have. And although this is the least cost, I'd also argue that there's value there to be had in order to equate your client acquisition cost, what you're currently acquiring clients for on Meta, Google, YouTube, whatever your medium is. And I want you to think about what that average usually is. Let's say it's £300 per client. That's the cost your business has in order to acquire a client on average. I want you to take that amount and figure out what you would be comfortable gifting or rewarding a client for referring great people into your business. So let's say it's 300 quid. Maybe you say, you know what, 200 quid I'm going to gift to the person who is referring, so the client, and £100 can be gifted to the person they've referred. So they might get £100 off of the program. What this does, it immediately reinforces to the client that we want to reward you for doing more of these successful actions, i.e. bringing more amazing people into your world. So although it is the lowest CAC, lowest client acquisition cost, you can also make a decision based on how aggressive you want to be with bringing new people into your world. You can bet your life that you're going to get a significant amount more referrals when you communicate to clients that they're rewarded every single time that they recommend people into your business. So that's the first part. I want you to figure out right now what your average client acquisition cost has been over the past 6 months. Once you work that out, I want you to figure out what number you're comfortable gifting towards a client for bringing people into our world. There's a few ways that you can look to do this, whether you just gift the client or you gift both of those guys, or you get them a gift voucher to their favorite shop, and maybe it's a Lululemon or an Amazon Prime voucher. Whatever you think would be best suited with your culture and your community, That's the decision you make in terms of how you reward people. The second part is local outreach. Still pretty low cost, high amount of leads. This is probably the most controllable lever. Like if you need clients fast, this is the way you do it. So an example might be collaborating with a local business, partnering up with them, corporate wellness, door-to-door high-value flyers, lead boxes in salons, barbers, estate agents, community fairs. We literally did a community fair. We sponsored the Santa's Grotto, and I connected with someone in a queue who then became a client, 12-month paid in full, just from a conversation we had when we were waiting for both of our daughters to get their face painted. Wild, wild. So I always say to gym owners, like, become the local celebrity in the area. Go and connect with other people, other businesses. You know, estate agents, what an amazing opportunity we have to be able to gift an estate agent potentially a voucher or some sort of offer to put in welcome boxes when somebody new moves to the area. Surely that's got to be a massive opportunity there. So here's what I would love you to do. I want you to think about 3 different ways you're able to connect with local businesses. A Pilates studio maybe. Maybe it's a barber shop that you go to or that you have been wanting to go into. Maybe it's the coffee shop on the corner just down by the road from your gym that you give them a little 21-day experience to come in and see what you're all about. Try and get your product and service into as many business owners' hands as you possibly can, because they're the ones who are going to be the mouthpiece and are going to be the individuals selling your product or service 24/7. You want a 24/7 sales machine. And to do that, we need to make sure that we are the local celebrity, people know what we do, and we give other business owners the opportunity to collaborate, partnership, so that we can also do the same for them. So a massive opportunity here. The third part I want you to think about is organic social media content. You don't need me to tell you how important it is, and chances are you're posting pretty regularly on socials, which is great. But there's a few things I want to consider, because although this takes quite a bit of time and it's medium cost, it's money well spent. And the truth is, what we really need to focus on is what kind of content we're putting out into the world. Are we putting enough proof out? Are we putting enough CTAs out? Are we showcasing the behind the scenes of what it looks like when somebody gets into your world? Not just for new inbound people that have just come off of an ad and starts to follow you and maybe clicks on the stories, but what about clients who really want to be part of the mission and feel part of that community aspect? I'd argue that what happens in your 4 walls and what happens on social media need to combine. So the vibe that you bring in the gym and the culture and the people, how can we bring that more into our stories? How can we show more of the behind the scenes? Because in a day and age where everything's so polished and everything looks so slick, your potential clients might actually not trust you so much by not showing more of the behind the scenes. So if you do anything over the next few weeks in terms of deploying some sort of social strategy, it's getting your team on board with showcasing more behind the scenes inside of the gym, inside of a session. What does that feel like? What does it look like? What do members look like? If I'm a client or a potential client coming onto the page, what am I seeing? What do people look like? Am I showing the variety of people in the actual demographic that we want to serve for the person who's coming on and not quite sure what you do? Remember, people don't know what small group personal training is. We need to educate them around what it is. And stories, Instagram reels, carousels are one of the best opportunities that we have to showcase what we do and educate the marketplace. So we go from being a gym where people are intimidated by joining to going, you know what? I want to be part of that. That looks infectious. Wow, that lady looks just like me. Oh my God, that story about that woman who couldn't walk and now can deadlift 100 kilos. Whatever that looks like, make sure you're getting enough of that out into the world and be proud of it. Be proud of what your gym has been able to provide. And stories are one of the best ways to curate more connection and keep people along the journey throughout the day. More importantly, clients. If you think about the referrals that we just discussed at the earlier stage of the acquisition level, you know, if I'm a client and I'm talking to a friend or family member, chances are I'm going to showcase what's going on the stories or on social media. So make sure this portion is dialed in. That brings us in perfectly to paid media. The highest cost, but highest leverage, because you're going to have the most amount of leads. And if we just circle back to that previous point I made about organic social media content, if that isn't dialed in, paid media can ultimately cost you a lot more. Because what you want when you've paid for a client, even a lead, to follow you, how are you educating and nurturing that relationship so they eventually get to the point of where they're ready to buy? Remember, only 3% of people that come off of paid media is ready to invest into the program. The other 97% need a bit more warming up, need to understand what it is that they're struggling with and how we can help them get there. And there's 4 different levels to that, but that's a story for another day. Now, Ads give you scalable, predictable acquisition, especially if you're tracking the numbers, LTV and CAC. Now, platforms like Meta, YouTube, TikTok, Google, it's all around building a pipeline so your sales team always have volume, or maybe that sales team is you. Now, what's really important is that number one, we have a strong offer, high quality creative and fast follow-up, as well as tight tracking and daily optimization. We want to make sure that this part where we're spending money to acquire clients, especially a high volume of leads, we need to ensure that it's doubled down. It's tight. So that's the acquisition level, level one, getting more clients. Let's move on to number two, which is all about keeping clients longer, retention. If your acquisition is how they enter, retention is how you build a future. Retention is not a feeling, it's a system. And it's engineered through touch points, expectations, and community. So here's the framework. If we draw a triangle here, and there's three parts to this, we have at the bottom, at the foundational level, wins. How do we deliver wins? People stay when they win. And this is the heart of retention. Someone who has a clear 90-day goal on day one, monthly progress assessments, program reviews and future pacing, weekly accountability touch points. If clients stop winning, they leave. If clients win consistently, they never leave. So I want you to think about, where are your clients winning? Where are they stalling? And what's your feedback loop? How are you gonna look to change what you currently have, and how can you optimize that? Because when we reflect on where people are in your world right now, we need to think, how can we get the person who's been with us over the last 12 months, even 18 months, or maybe it's just 3 months? How can we extend their future by another 6 to 12 months? And to do that, we have to think about how we can get them winning more. The next part I want to run through is creating connection. You know how valuable this is. You see, clients don't leave communities they feel part of. It's never the case. You have to engineer this through member events, social events, challenges, charity events, WhatsApp groups, 300 and 500 club celebrations, if that's something you feel is part of your culture and that you want to reward clients for. So what I want you to think about over the next 12 months, using the calendar inside of the workbook, is start to curate what the next 12 months looks like from a calendar perspective. What's going on? Do you have something every 3 months in order to keep people bought in? Is it a group Hyrox? Is it an Affex? Is it an internal games that you do? When you look to preload the year and you're strategic, it means that you're not reactive when you feel like you've hit a bit of a lull midway through the year and you're not sure what you need to put on next. So just ensure that you've mapped this out for a whole calendar year, because when you get that connection piece right, you'll find that clients stay year round. The last part is all about future pacing the member. You see, retention isn't about today, it's about the next milestone. Every check-in is a chance to future pace. Where do you want to be in 6 months? What's the next athletic goal? Let me show you what the next 12 months could look like. Clients who see their future stay for the future. So these all kind of tie into each other. Ensuring that people are winning and they're actually getting results means that it's going to become more sticky. If you have connection and you curate events across the year, you're engaging more community and you're getting people bought into a vision, the same way future pacing does. Asking reflective questions with things they haven't even potentially considered that could be a massive opportunity for them to achieve their full potential. I always say to the coaching team here at T2 Fit, we are miracle workers. We are able to get people to see a future inside of themselves that they didn't even realize, a potential they didn't even think they could achieve. And it's our job to unlock it. So make sure that you're arming your team with how to have those conversations, and make sure that you have these 3 sections dialed in, and I promise you, you'll have a massive increase in the amount of time somebody spends in your world. Level 3 is expansion, making clients more valuable. How do we do it? It's got to be strategic and something that we're incredibly intentional with, because chances are, as a gym owner, you feel a bit sleazy thinking about making clients worth more. But ultimately, if we can serve people at a high level, or give them an opportunity to spend more with us, or give them an opportunity to refer people, expansion isn't just for the individual, it's for the people they could potentially refer to. So when you think about the word expansion, there's a few different ways you can look at it, whether it's through referrals, different programs, higher ticket programs, or maybe even JVing with other partnerships or local businesses around. So what we're going to dive into here are 3 monetization moments that you can instantly swipe and deploy in order to ultimately make more money with the clients that you currently have inside of your world. Monetization moment number 1, the £500 gift card. Hear me out on this. Depending on the season that you're going through, perfect time might be through the summer or it might be through to the end of the year. You want to think about how you can give an easy opportunity for your clients to gift something to somebody in order to come into your world. So we have a 90% discount around 2 seasons of the year, midway through the year and the end of the year, ideally Black Friday actually. And it's rolling out an email to clients and letting them know that for this week only, we're giving you the opportunity to purchase a £500 gift card at 90% off, meaning it's only going to cost you £50 to then gift that voucher to a friend or family member or colleague that needs T2 Fit in their life. That means that they can put that £500 voucher towards a 90-day program or a 365. We've already discussed the annual program and how that can be put towards that. It can't go towards a trial or a kickstart because you'll be losing money. So make sure you make that clear. But instantly, you're going to have between 5 to 10 clients buying those vouchers who are then going to think straight away, wow, what a great deal. But also what you're doing is making your clients look amazing, because when they gift that to a friend or family member and they put that in a card at Christmas time, that person's going to think they've been gifted £500. What a great deal. So when they come in and look to redeem that, they're able to jump on a call, find out the cost of the program and deduct £500 due to the client gifting them that £500 voucher. It's an amazing opportunity, not just to get more people into your world, but also to reward clients. So remember what we discussed before. If you know your client acquisition cost, you can determine how much you want that voucher to be. Maybe you say it's 200 quid, maybe you say it's 300 quid, but it's got to be enough of an amount and a discount for your clients to say, that's a no-brainer. The second monetization moment we have is the paid in full upgrade. This is something we deploy into every single gym owner the moment we work with them, because it gives us an opportunity to essentially mop up individuals who would like to invest for a year, not have a monthly amount coming out, but also save a little bit in the long term as well. The way you can reward people is either giving them a month or 2 months on you. So it might be pay for 12 months and get the 13th on us, or pay for 12 months and get 2 months free. However you want to structure this, obviously the more months you give, the more incentive a client has to be able to sign up to the program. Not only does this give you a greater LTV, but it also gives you a huge cash flow opportunity to invest more into advertising, to acquire more clients, or invest back into the product or service. So this is a huge opportunity, and when it's executed correctly, you have the scope to add 20 to 30K in a single month. The third monetization moment is the welcome box. How do you wow new clients, and how do you give them an opportunity to easily refer the moment they sign up to the program? You see, we can spend as much as we like on Meta, but it's becoming more and more challenging and more expensive to acquire clients. So we need to think strategically around the future and how we can increase our chances of getting more referrals into our world. And the way we do that is either ways we've discussed already over the last half an hour, or it's about rewarding clients the moment they sign up to immediately reward them for taking action. So instead of spending £400-500 to acquire a client on Meta, how about you invested £15-20 into a welcome box that gives you 2 massive bonuses. First one is you wow the new client who's come into your world with a few gifts. Maybe it's a welcome bottle, maybe it's a notebook, some electrolytes and a protein sachet. But on the flap of the box, it has a QR code that says, hey, most people who join us and start with a friend are 300% more likely to achieve their goals. They can scan the QR code, immediately refer somebody. They're the hero in the journey, and it costs them absolutely nothing. We gift them that as somebody who's come into our world. That's a massive opportunity for you there to reduce ad spend and ultimately find more world-class people just by adding that little touch that costs you hardly anything. So let's dive into your action plan. There is a question for each, one for acquisition, one for retention, and one for expansion. So when it comes down to acquisition, which is getting more clients, I want you to choose your primary lever over the next 30 days. Is it referrals, local outreach, organic, or paid? The question I have for you is, which lever will drive the fastest wins this month? The second part we're going to look at is retention, keeping clients longer. I want you to identify your weakest retention area. I want you to think about delivering wins, creating connection and future pacing. So the question is this: what's the one biggest hole costing you money when it comes to retention? And then I want you to install one retention system this week. Monthly reviews, maybe a community group, a reactivation campaign, a quarterly event, a future pacing script for your team, or a milestone celebration system. And I want you to think about when that is going to go live from. I want you to define that date, put a deadline on it, and make sure you commit to it. And that brings us on to the final stage, expansion, where clients become more valuable. I want you to choose one monetization moment, a gift card, a paid in full upgrade, or a welcome box. I want you to set your launch window, when it starts and when it ends, or when it continues to, and I want you to think about setting some targets, because if you focus on implementing and deploying this quick, with speed, you're gonna see a massive ROI with the time that you've given me today. Okay, so that brings us into the final step, the commitment. I want you to complete this sentence. Over the next 30 days, I will acquire more clients by, keep them longer by, and increase their value by, fill the blank. This forces clarity, and clarity drives action. Action builds the machine. So when you finish this, you're gonna have a commitment that you've made to me and that you've made to yourself that's gonna allow you to bring more people into your world, keep clients for longer, and get people to spend more with you. I hope you found this section valuable. This is one of my favorite sections. We're now gonna go into the final section, which is management. Let's get stuck in. Congratulations on making it to the final section. Section 6, it's all about management. You see, one of the biggest challenges you'll face as a gym owner is the moment you grow to a point where you're no longer just coaching clients, you're leading people, one of the best skill sets you can develop. And nobody prepares you for that. We open a gym because we love helping people, coaching people, and we love seeing people transform. But then at a stage of growth, without realizing it, the business grows and suddenly we're managing a team, giving feedback, running meetings, holding people accountable, setting standards, and being looked at as the person who sets the tone for the entire organization. It's the identity shift every gym owner must go through, and it's the one nobody really warned you about. I had to go through it myself, and I'll be honest, it's been one of the hardest parts of my personal development journey. It's the part I still have to work on to this day, because the better I get at leadership, the better the business performs. And the moments where things got stuck, it was almost always a leadership bottleneck, my bottleneck. The truth is, you can't scale past a certain point by being the best coach. Coaching clients isn't what gets you to break through certain ceilings. Leading people is. Because at a certain point, your business stops being limited by tactics and starts being limited by you. Your ability to lead, organize, delegate, and build a team that can execute without you. Think about it. You can't acquire more clients if you're overwhelmed. You can't retain clients if your team is inconsistent. You can't expand revenue if you're stuck in the day-to-day. And you can't operate like a high-performing business if your team is guessing or unclear or unaligned. Leadership is the multiplier. It's the thing that turns your business from a job into an asset, from something you run into something that runs because of you, not around you. And inside SGPT gyms, leadership follows a predictable path. Every owner moves through the same phases. Every revenue breakthrough matches a leadership breakthrough. So in this section, we're going to break down the leadership ladder, the 4 stages every gym owner must climb to scale from 0 to 100K months. From the doer to the manager to the leader to the coach of leaders. And with each level, your org chart must evolve. Your responsibilities will evolve, and your identity must evolve. Once you understand these levels, everything becomes so much clearer. What to stop doing, what to start doing, who to hire, who to delegate to, and how to build a team that can drive the business forward without you firefighting every day. Then we're gonna cover the operational backbone of leadership, the talent engine and the alignment goal ladder, as well as scorecard leadership. This is the part of the business that separates operators from owners. This is the part that builds a real company, not just a gym. So let's dive in. So let's kick things off at the foundation here, the leadership ladder. We're gonna go through 4 different phases, and every revenue level has a leadership level. You've got the doer, which is between 0 and 10K per month. The focus here is all about getting your offer right, leads, and delivery. You are coaching, you are selling, posting, cleaning, onboarding, managing leads, doing admin, solving every problem in the business. And at this stage, you don't have an org chart. You are the org chart, and that's completely normal, but it cannot last. You will burn out. And your breakthrough is the moment you start documenting tasks and handing off responsibilities. You escape this level by creating basic checklists, hiring a coach, outsourcing admin, and systemizing the things you repeat. The second stage is the manager, 10K to 30K per month. And the focus here is all around systems, structure, and onboarding. You are probably reviewing tasks, holding people accountable, checking standards, aligning responsibilities, running the weekly meetings, and your org chart now starts to expand. You have maybe a gym manager, a head coach, 1 to 3 coaches, and maybe someone in your corner running admin. Your breakthrough here is realizing that managing tasks is not the same as creating leaders. You escape this level by creating systems for consistency, building written SOPs, standardizing delivery, installing KPIs, and having a weekly rhythm with meetings, reviews, and communication. Once we've broken through the manager ceiling, which is above 30K, between 30K and 50K per month, then and only then can we start to focus on culture and structure. Your goal here is about setting direction, driving culture, aligning the team, making decisions based on data, and leading through systems, not personality. Your org chart now looks a little bit like this. You as the CEO or leader, general manager, head coach running the day-to-day, 3 to 6 coaches running small group personal training, maybe somebody in sales and somebody running the marketing department, as well as somebody in admin. Your breakthrough here is letting go of control, allowing people to own outcomes without having to micromanage them. You escape this level by trusting leaders, hiring for outcome ownership, not task completion, moving from what are you doing to what result did you create, and building strategic plans, not just to-do lists. And finally, the 50 to 100K per month. This here is where you become the coach of leaders. Your focus is vision, mentorship, and brand. You are coaching the general manager, coaching department heads, developing talent, optimizing strategy, steering the vision and innovation, and creating the next generation of leaders. Your org chart at this stage is usually you as the visionary. You have your general manager or gym manager running the business, head coach, head of sales, head of marketing, and team underneath them. Your breakthrough here is that you stop running the business, your leaders run it. You coach the leaders. So I've spoken at various different points today about monthly recurring revenue. You might be thinking, Luke, why do you keep talking about money? Reality is, every revenue number you're at, I can usually tell what is broken in the business, what you're doing well, and what needs optimizing. So when I've identified gym owners who are between one of these 4 stages, there are actually 5 between 1 and 100K per month. I know exactly what you need to do in order to break through that ceiling. So I want you now to audit exactly where you currently are. Are you the doer, or are you the manager? Or have you graduated to the leader, or are you the coach of leaders? And at each stage here, in each revenue level, you know what you need to factor in and how the org chart needs to evolve. So if I leave you with one thing here, in terms of an action point, it's to isolate where you are, watch this section again, and listen to exactly what I said about what you need in order to grow to the next level, to break through that ceiling, what you need to focus on. Is it leads, delivery, sales? Or is it vision and culture that you need to focus on right now? Once you get that right and you get crystal clear on what the business needs, that's when you start to accelerate growth and you break through that current ceiling you're in. The next section we're going to go into here is the talent engine. Once we understand where we are on the leadership ladder, we can then figure out what we might need from an org chart perspective. And it all starts with the moment you have that very first interaction with somebody who raises a hand and potentially wants to come and work for your company. How do you find them? How do you nurture them? How do you challenge them? And how do you make sure that they're the right fit for your culture? We're going to be running through that now with the 5-step talent engine process. I'm going to be running you through the talent engine. There are 5 clear steps you need to take in order to find great coaches who can come inside of your community and impact the gym floor from day one. Have you ever hired a coach and realized that you should have done a bit of work on the front end of actually interviewing them, asking better questions, but you were just so desperate to get a coach on board that you were like, you know what? As long as they're level 3 qualified, they're in. I'm going to share with you here today how you can avoid that from happening and make better decisions when it comes to finding great people to come and join your mission. Now, since opening my gyms, I've not always had this figured out. I've made my fair share of mistakes. And usually a lot of these frameworks that have been delivered to you today have all come from me learning from my own experience. And I really figured out that there are 5 core ways in order to find great people who can contribute to the mission and that you don't regret bringing on board just because you were desperate for someone who's qualified as a level 3 personal trainer. If that's the only qualifying question you're asking, there's a problem. There are 5 core steps. Now, if I share with you a story from when I hired my very first team member back in 2019, you can imagine what kind of leader I was back then when I brought her on board with the team and immediately went on holiday 7 days later. Can you imagine? No shadowing, no roles and responsibilities that were given. She just had to come in and do a session with me, and I was so desperate to get on my holiday and have a break. I was like, as long as sessions can continue running, I guess I'm being a leader. So after my fair share of mistakes and learning from that, and a few months later, her transitioning off the team, I realized that I needed a better system. And over time, I've curated, nurtured it, made it better, made my mistakes, and still are looking at refining this process. But I've really brought it down to 5 core ways in order to find people who fit what you do and can immediately make an impact to the gym floor. It starts right at the bottom here. It's about you getting clear on the roles and responsibilities. Who are you looking for? What kind of character traits do they have? You see, when somebody transitions off your team or you're looking to bring in a brand new role, it's really important that you think about the core characteristics that you're looking for in an individual. What does that person bring from a cultural standpoint? Is it someone who's bringing a load of energy, someone who's very community driven, somebody who's dialed in on their expertise as a coach and their exercise mechanics? Get clear on the role and who you want that to be. The second layer to this is promoting the role, just like you do your gym. You should be promoting the opportunity for someone to come into your world. You want to be in a position where you have between 5 to 10 candidates that you can choose from. You never want to be in a position where you've only got one person that you're making a decision based on. And that means that you're probably pretty desperate, so you'll take them even if they don't quite align with your culture. So it's about using social media here, both your personal brand and even your gym page, job boards, and maybe even putting some spend behind it. I'd highly recommend that. And also asking your team, maybe even offering an incentive if they can find somebody who is a coach that they know and that might be interested. And if they get the job, maybe they get a 200, 300 pound gift voucher to somewhere. That might be a great way to find great people to join your mission. So the third stage to this is the assessment. But what's important is once you've promoted and you have a deadline on when you're actually going to close the application, you're going to take the 5, 10, maybe you've got 15 people interested in this role. You're going to put them into a pool and you're going to isolate the 3 to 5 that you think are going to be the best fit. And you're going to send these guys an assessment. We like DISC. There's loads of different personality profile tests and some people are against these. For us, it isn't the be all and end all, but it gives us a really good idea based on the characteristics down here that we spoke about earlier on with the kind of person that we want to be brought in. How are they going to integrate with our team? What kind of person are they? Are they more of a dominant character or are they somebody who's a little bit more influential? What kind of person is that? You get a lot based on what you see at face value, but also we want to know what's under the hood and how that person operates and how they're able to contribute to the team. So once you've got those 3 to 5, then it's about making a decision whether or not they can move to the next stage. And this is my favorite stage. This is where you invite them in for an experience. We're looking for 3 workouts. And this is probably one of the best interview processes that anybody will ever get. You bring them in to your environment and get them to come and train in one of your sessions. Let's say it's a small group PT session. You want to test them and see how early do they show up? How do they conduct themselves? How do they communicate? Do they interact with clients? Do they talk to the team? Do they take coaching cues well? How do they move? Do they move well or not so well? If they don't move very well, what's their coaching going to be like? This is, for me, one of the most imperative parts that you get right. And so many people skip this part. They think that, yep, I've met Bob, he looks great, he's in great shape, but we don't actually see him in the environment. And the part that I'm always looking for is, how do they interact with members? How do they interact with our people? And when you start to get a pulse on how they are in sessions, you also get feedback from your coaching team who will let you know like, yeah, he's not a good fit, or that is a T2 Fit member. That is a T2 Fit member through and through. That way you get a better pulse on the decision that you make, and having them come in more than once gives you a bit more of a consistent pattern. Maybe the first time they come in, they weren't great, but the second and third time they showed up completely different, and vice versa. Maybe that person comes in and shows up on the first workout, but then the next two, not so much. So giving them an opportunity to come in for 3 workouts. But the part that is really crucial is how they respond when you ask them to come in for 3 workouts. Do they say, yeah, I can come in here and there, or are they super excited, like, yeah, I can come in tomorrow? How keen are they to want to come in, or how much friction is there when they talk about what time they can come in? If they're not eager to get in, and their reaction to you asking them that question, or they say, I can come in the next few weeks, you've got to question how much do they value the position that you're providing. And that brings us into the final stage. Once you've identified the individual that you're going to be giving that role to, that is when you come in as the CEO. Now, there might be certain parts here that you execute or that you work with your gym manager or head coach on, but ultimately this is the final call. This is where you either have the final call with the individual that you've decided on, or maybe you need a little bit more time to think about the two that you're split between, and you just need a conversation with them. You need a half an hour sit down with Mary and a half an hour sit down with Bob to find out a little bit more about what's under the hood. Maybe there's some questions that you want answering. And in that final call, you can either take your time and go off the call and have another call to either offer them the role or not, or even if it's that final stage where you've got the one person that you really want to give this role to, maybe that's the opportunity where you jump in and you sell the mission. You sell the mission and the vision, and you sell hard. Sell hard. Your job here is to really get clear on what they want to achieve, where do they want to be, how do they want to grow inside of the company, and then you sell the vision in which they fit inside of that. So there are the 5 ways that we find incredible people to join our team and not be in a position that 3 months later we regret hiring that person. Don't get me wrong, people go through this system and slip through the net. But ultimately, if you have a system, as I mentioned earlier, sequencing equals success, you're more than likely to have success from this exact framework. Now, you can see on the screen that we've got a bonus section here, something we recently introduced about 6 months ago. It's about introducing that new individual into our culture of continuous improvement, development, and learning. We want to get them into our world of reading, listening, and absorbing feedback. And to do that, we get every new hire to come on board and read a book called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. He owns a restaurant in New York called 11 Madison Park, and he took it from a 1 Michelin star to a 3 Michelin star and made it the #1 restaurant in the world. How did he do that? Through serving clients, customers at the highest level. And everything inside of that book applies to what you do inside of your gym. So if you haven't read it, I highly recommend you going to do it. And if you have a book in mind that you think would be awesome for new hires to read before coming into your world, well then ask them to read it before they start, and then ask them to bring their 3 to 5 biggest takeaways. What did they learn from the book? And then here's the key. Ask for 1 action point within their first 30 days. What are they going to apply that they learn in that book that's going to help them develop as a coach inside of the business? So listen, this is the talent engine. There's 5 steps to it, plus the bonus. I hope you found this valuable. The next thing for you to do is identify who you need next. Patrick Bet-David talks about being 5 moves ahead. I highly recommend you going to grab in that book, your next 5 moves. And one of those needs to be, who is the next hire? We've spoken today about building capacity, building this market and this sales engine. We're going to expand massively in terms of how many people we're going to serve. And in order to serve those people at the highest level, as a leader, you need to find the people who can lead the business tomorrow. So I want you to think about the next 90 days. Who do you need in order to help you with this expanded capacity and this increase in sales that you're going to have after watching this course? This is the 5-step talent engine. I hope you find it valuable. Let's move on to number 3, which is setting quarterly goals. I call this the alignment goal ladder. We're going to dive into how to set quarterly goals that get your team bought in and get you crystal clear on what we're focusing on over the next 3 months. You see, I've tried pretty much everything when it comes down to setting goals. Most recently, objective and key results, OKRs. I tried to implement this and really found it difficult to get the team bought into the things that I was focused on when I was coming to setting the vision for the business. And ultimately, if we would succeed or wouldn't, nobody would really care. There was no reward off the back of it. So I created a system. Actually, I learned a system from a mentor of mine who taught me this exact framework. And it allowed me to deploy this and get the team razor focused on what we're doing every single week, what we're working towards every single month, and how we're going to hit our quarterly objectives for us as a team to go away and have a great experience. I'm going to show you how we reward the team based on this. And it starts with the first section, which is the metric. We need to really get clear on what the metric is that we're trying to work on. And I sit down every single quarter and work with my leadership team on how we did the last quarter, how we did the last month, and what we need to focus on next to hit our overall annual objectives. Now, without me getting too deep on the 12 monthly goals, I want to just look at how you're going to be able to set these quarterly goals in order for you to be able to get closer to your yearly objectives. And you should be sitting down once a year and really thinking about what the 3-year vision looks like and how you're working back from that. But that's a training for another day. Once we've actually established that, we can then focus on what is the main priority. What are the 3 to 5 things over the next quarter that we need to work on? And usually we do this a week before we actually roll this out to the team. And what we're looking for here is like big ROIs in the business, whether it's revenue based, whether it's marketing based, whether it's more about operations or systemizing something. It's always to do with something that we need to work on that gets the team focused and going, okay, if this is one of our 4 or 5 things, this must be important. So at the foundational level here, we're always looking for a goal that we can achieve. You see, if I take you back to the OKRs, I used to set goals that were just way too big, hairy, audacious goals, as they say. And we would never achieve them. So I'd never give the team the feedback loop of wanting to do more of that. We want to reward successful actions. And to do that, we need to have realistic goals that we can achieve, but also goals that stretch us and make a big difference in the business. We talk about the upgrade system today, right? We spoke about being able to get somebody from a 21-day trial into a 12-month program. What about if we set an objective for us to be focused over the next quarter on getting 10 of those? So let's say the metric is 10. Let's say 10 plus. 10 12-month commitments paid in full. You want to be really clear on that goal, by the way. So make sure that when you are defining the number, you have clarity on the specifics of the goal so that there's no ambiguity there and anyone's just guessing on what they're actually trying to achieve and someone thinks they've achieved it and another person doesn't. Now, once we've got the metric and the goal, now we need to identify what the reward is going to be. This is going to be a monetary amount. And to ensure that we don't go backwards with the business, I need you to look at what the past 3 months has looked like in net profit inside of your business. Let's say, for example, it's £10,000. I want you to take 10% of that 10,000, which will be 1K, and that is going to be the top layer. If you unlock every single part of this ladder, then you achieve the £1,000 to use for a team experience. We've used it for the Wave, which is a place in Bristol that allows us to go surfing as a team experience. So not only are we rewarding the team, we're also building that culture and that connection with each other. We've also, based off of unreasonable hospitality, gone and had an experience at a 1 Michelin star restaurant. So this is incredible how it works. And ultimately it drives everyone in the same direction. So let's start at the bottom here with the goal that is going to be pretty achievable, something that you know that we can hit. We might say that if we hit our 10 paid in full 12-month commitments, we're going to get 100 quid. Let's say the next level was 200, then it might be 500, then it might be 750, then it's £1,000 on the top layer. You can decide how you break that up based on the top number. And usually this top metric and goal is going to be the most challenging. It's going to be the one that makes the biggest impact in the business. So you don't need me to go through every single section with metric, goal, and reward. You've got the idea. You really want to identify the goals that you're setting over the next quarter as goals that are going to really make the biggest impact in the business. And if you were to look at this £1,000, you would say, you know what? We've made that 10 times with these quarterly goals that we've set. So here's what to do next. I want you to think, no matter what month you're in, whatever week you're in, whatever season you're in, what are the next 3 to 5 goals we need to focus on to deploy this system and get the most out of it? Work out what your net profit is over the last 3 months and figure out what that top number is going to be. And then the exciting part, you can roll it out to the team and let them know that this exciting way of setting goals is going to reward everybody. And watch how dialed in everybody is. This is the 3 to 5 metrics that on a weekly basis, everybody's dialed in on and wants to know where we're at, because it involves everybody. That's the alignment goal ladder. I hope you found this useful. You know what to go and do next. We're gonna move on to the final stage now, which is scorecard leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and it starts with a scorecard. Let's get into the final section of today, scorecard leadership. And if you've got a team, chances are you've started to track some metrics, which is great. But I've seen a lot of founders, including myself, make a lot of mistakes when it comes to tracking KPIs and, more importantly, a scorecard. So we're going to talk about scorecard leadership today, how to actually run a scorecard, and you're also going to be able to download the templates so you can literally swipe and deploy the ones that we use so you can go and implement it into your fitness business. Now, what's important is, first and foremost, that we map the data. The first part to scorecard leadership is that you map the right data, not the 1,500 metrics that you want to track in your business that you have optics on. It's the 3 to 5 metrics per department that you need in order to actually make a decision on, to give you feedback that you're either going in the right direction or the wrong direction. So here's where you need to start. Firstly, you want to identify every single department, sales, marketing, and delivery. And I want you to think about the 3 to 5 North Star metrics that you need in order to give you a gauge on whether you're going in the right direction. These are numbers such as net profit, cost per lead, client acquisition cost, ROAS. Maybe it's retention rates or renewals. Take a second and rethink about what are the 3 to 5 metrics, because there could be 10, 20, but ultimately there are only 3 to 5 that really move the needle inside of each of these departments. So make sure that we map the correct data. The second part is measuring the data. We need to make sure that we have a scorecard with a metric, a date, most importantly, so week 1, 2, 3, 4, however many weeks inside of that month. Then we list the goal and where we actually are. So that way, on a week-to-week basis, you've got the metric mapped to the goal, and we know where we currently are. And a little hack here, we can also label these in colors, because remember, numbers are awesome, but colors scream whether or not we're on, off, or going in the right direction. So if you're on track, you can label it green. If you're off track, you can go red. And if you're, we're going in the right direction, but we're gonna put a plan in place in order to get it up to green, then you can put that in orange or however you like to color coordinate. So having some colors to give you feedback on where numbers are, crucial. And that brings us to the final section, which is managing it. You see, when I used to own a scorecard myself, I'd always be the person bringing the scorecard to the team, reading it out loud. And I want to talk you through the 4 fundamentals when it comes to actually managing a scorecard, because the numbers are important, what you track is important, the cadence that you track is important, but I'm going to give you the fundamentals around managing the scorecard. It starts up here, number 1. You want to make sure that it's on time every single week. Once you have the scorecard and you deploy it, you want to roll it out to your team and ensure that everybody knows that the rhythm you follow is once a week, the numbers are going to be updated and they're going to be brought to the meeting. There's a regular cadence and rhythm. The second part that we need to identify is that there's an owner. If somebody is bringing the numbers, pulling the data and bringing it into a spreadsheet, there is an individual who owns each of these numbers. So please ensure there's a DRI, a direct responsible individual. Somebody owns this number, because if they don't, nobody's responsible for it. If I suddenly say, what the hell, why is retention dropped so much? Or why have we suddenly had 10 people leave the business and nobody owns that number? You're the one who owns it as the owner. There needs to be someone who owns a metric and that we link that to their roles and responsibilities. The next part is ensuring that when these metrics are updated and they're brought to the meeting, that person reads them aloud, not just for accountability, but because if you suddenly start to communicate what's on the scorecard, you communicate to the team that you're now the owner. Let the person who runs the scorecard, runs the meeting, communicate where the numbers are, and even communicate how they're going to get it from off track into on track. And finally, the last part is ensuring that they're on plan. Piggybacking off of that third section where they communicate out loud, is also ensuring that everything is mapped and going in the right direction. If something is off track, that's where you jump in and are able to coach your team up in various ways to let them know how you're going to achieve the result. So if somebody in your team is running this scorecard, running this meeting, and is not sure how to get that metric up to where it needs to be, That's where you can come in and coach people up in order to get them to bring the scorecard in a few weeks' time to hopefully be back at that green. This is scorecard leadership, and it's a fundamental when it comes to you tracking numbers inside of your business. What is important though is that you track the right metrics. We spoke earlier on about mapping the data, mapping the right data. So here's your exercise. First and foremost, ensure that you've downloaded the workbook, because you're going to be able to get the template for this exact scorecard with the data and the numbers and the metrics that we look to optimize. And then you can go in and tweak the ones that you need. I've done it based off of what most gyms need, but if there's a certain number that you're really looking to optimize, you can ensure that is mapped. And remember, there's only 3 to 5 that are needed in order to really grow and in order for you to get your full attention to ensure that you can see a change in the number. If you're tracking 50 metrics, it's impossible to get clear on what's most important. So I hope you found this section useful. This is one of the most important parts of leadership, is getting a scorecard in place that if you're on holiday or if you're taking some time off, you know exactly where the numbers are and where the business is just by opening that spreadsheet up and ensuring that you get razor sharp clarity on where you are as a gym. So guys, that is it. Section 6. Congratulations on making it this far. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure. This is without a doubt one of the most important sections as you start to develop a team. And there is so much more that I could unpack here. When it comes to management and building a team, it's one of the most challenging parts of being a business owner, but also one of the most rewarding. And I've just unpacked 4 frameworks that I felt compelled to share with you around management and leadership, that when I work with gym owners, they're able to instantly swipe and deploy and see an ROI in their behavior, in their team, and in their business. Before we wrap up this course, I want to leave you with one last thing. The thing that ties everything together and shows you exactly what the next version of you needs to look like. Because no matter where you are right now, 10K a month, 30K a month, 50K, 75K months, every gym owner goes through the same 5 breakpoints on the journey from 1 to 100K. And the moment you understand these breakpoints, you will never look at your business the same way again. As we go through them, I want you to listen with one mindset. Which one am I stuck in? And who do I need to become to break through it? You see, if you're at breakpoint 1, the foundation is 0 to 10K. This is the do everything yourself. We spoke a little bit around the doer here. You are the business. Coaching, selling, cleaning, and posting. You're running on chaos, and that's completely normal. Your job here is not to be perfect. Your job is to master the fundamentals. Offer, leads, and delivery. If you can consistently sell, serve, and retain 30 to 40 clients, you earn the right to scale. And at this stage, consistency beats complexity. Breakpoint 2, between 10 and 30K per month. This is usually where most gym owners feel the weight. You've hired coaches, but you're still the bottleneck. Everything flows through you. Every problem ends up on your desk, and your business works, but it only works because you work. Your focus at this level is systems, structure, and onboarding. You must get what's in your head onto paper so other people can finally execute it. Breakpoint 3, the momentum phase, 30 to 50K per month. This is where the emotional roller coaster kicks in. You've got a team, but you're managing them through control instead of leadership. You're probably micromanaging and you're pretty frustrated. Your standards only hold if you enforce them. And this is the point where many owners burn out. Your focus here is very, very simple. Culture and leverage. You don't outwork this stage, you have to outlead it. You must create leaders within your team who can think and decide without you. And that brings us on to breakpoint 4, the expansion phase, 50 to 75K month. Now the game gets real. You've built a legitimate business, you've built a team, but now you face bigger problems. Cash flow swings, profit margin pressure, and org chart gaps. You're making money, but not keeping as much as you should. Your focus here is all around profit, structure, and ownership. Every role needs a seat, and every seat needs a number, and the business must become financially stable, not chaotic. And finally, breakpoint 5, 75 to 100K per month. This is the promised land. Your team is strong, your systems are strong, your delivery is strong, and likely insight number 2. The only thing holding you back is you letting go. Your focus here is around vision, leadership, and brand. Your job is no longer to do, it's to develop. Develop leaders, culture, and long-term growth. This is where you stop running a gym and start running a company. And here's the truth I want to leave you with. If you're watching this right now, you're probably somewhere between the 10 to 50K per month mark, the messy middle. I want you to enjoy it, but I also want you to be dissatisfied with where you currently are and that you know you've got more to give. Because everything inside this course, the SGPT Growth Engine, is designed to help you break through the levels that have been holding you back. Because once you get this right, once you install the systems, once you build the team, once you become the leader your business needs, everything changes. Your gym stops being a job, it becomes a vehicle, a legacy. So I want to leave you with one final question, and I want it to sit with you. Who do I need to become to break through the next breakpoint? Not what tactic do I need, not what marketing campaign should I run, not what new offer should I test. Who do I need to become? Because the truth is, your business grows to the level of your leadership and not a pound more. But now you have the roadmap. Now you have the playbook. Now you have the system. Now you have the machine. Everything you need to grow, scale, and systemize your SGPT gym is right here. But none of it matters unless you use it. Before you go today, please make sure you download the workbook. The scorecards, the scripts, the systems, the SOPs, the leadership tools, the operational frameworks, these aren't just documents. They're the exact templates I've used to build gyms I love showing up to every single day. And that's exactly what I want for you. My goal with this entire course, the reason I put in the time, the energy, the years of mistakes is so you can consume this, take action, and build a gym you love running. A gym that energizes you, a gym that pays you, a gym that serves your life, not steals it. Because that's the whole point. That's what makes every minute you've spent with me worth it. So download the playbooks, review your breakpoints, pick your next move, and take action immediately. You know exactly what to do next, and you're ready for it. This is your moment. This is your shift. Welcome to the next level.